Lovett Furniture in Sioux Falls is going out of business. Everything in the showroom and all warehouse stock must be sold. Lovett Furniture is jammed from wall to wall with beautiful new home furnishings at incredible going out of business sale prices. Every item in every department is plainly tagged to assure a total and complete sell-off. Don't delay many items of one-of-a-kind and showroom samples. Everything is limited to stock on hand. Buy now and pay no money down, make no payments, and pay no interest till 1998. The going out of business sale is happening now at Lovett Furniture, East 10th in Cleveland, Sioux Falls.
Good morning. This is KELOLAND News Break. A Northwest Iowa man is missing this morning. 70-year-old Herman Winterbore of Spencer drove away from a store, leaving his wife inside. Winterbore can't walk on his own. His speech is slurred, and police say that he is hard to understand. He was driving a red 1996 Chevy Blazer with handicap plates. Anyone who may have seen the Blazer can call the County Sheriff's Office at 712-262-3221. Now this.
Pool stick or lipstick will break the rumor that pool is a man's game tonight at 10 on Ion KELOLAND.
I'm Don Jorgensen. Join us for the early news at 4:30.
I'm Mary Hart. Watch Entertainment Tonight weeknights at 6:30 on KELOLAND TV.
Tripp High School won 3 straight 9B state championships back in the mid-1980s. The co-op of Tripp-Delmont won the 9A title in 1987. And now, 10 years later, the Wildcats are back. So far this year, Tripp-Delmont has run the table with a record of 12-0. This afternoon, they face the Cinderella story of these football playoffs. Coleman Egan is 8-4, 4 of those wins coming in the playoffs. Running back Rick Luzzi leads a high-powered offense that has scored 106 points in the last 2 games. It's Coleman Egan against Tripp-Delmont for the 9B state championship. Good morning and welcome everybody to the Teflon comforts of the Dakota Dome in Vermillion, South Dakota, home of the University of South Dakota Coyotes. The new turf just put in last year, ready to be chewed up by 5 championship games in high school football this weekend. 3 of those today, starting with the 9B championship getting set to kick off here in a couple of minutes. It'll be Coleman Egan, the CE Hawks, at 8-4 against the unbeaten Wildcats from Tripp-Delmont. Tripp-Delmont coming into this one at 12-0 on the season. They've run the table thus far. Can they get one more to get that state B championship, 9B championship that is? Freeman is the defending champion in the class, but they are up a class in 9A this year. We'll see them later on in the second game today against Garrettson. Hi, I'm Tom Neiman from Kello Sports, joined by Tom Oster, the head football coach, principal, pretty much everything down there at Avon High School. Welcome and thanks for coming, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. It's going to be a great day for a football game here. 2 different teams. One that started out a little slower and another one that's, like you said, run the table. Should be great.
Yeah, the consensus is that Tripp-Delmont, the 12-0 team, is going to come in here and just wallop Coleman Egan, but that's probably from people that haven't seen Coleman Egan play. You've talked to Merle Swen, their head coach, a little bit, and take a look at some of the CE Hawk fans there, but they're a very good football team, and like you say, it just took them a while to get going.
That's right. I think this is going to be a lot better game, I think, than people think. We certainly hope so. They played an awful tough schedule, and all 4 of their losses came to 9A opponents, and 3 of those 4 were in the playoffs.
Castlewood, Elkton, Oldham, Ramona, Rutland, and Chester beat Coleman Egan in the regular season, but yeah, they've pretty much handled everybody in the playoffs, including a pretty impressive win over Warner in the semifinals. Let's take a look at how both of these 9B championship qualifying teams got to this point to play in the Dome in the championship game this afternoon. This morning, actually, starting a little earlier this year, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but the road to the Dakota Dome for the Coleman Egan Seahawks. Coleman and Egan, the co-op, of course, just up there off of I-29, just west of I-29, near the Madison exit, or actually a little north of the Madison exit. But here's this year's record. As we said, those losses to Chester, to Oldham, Ramona, Rutland. They beat Esteline, beat Lake Preston, lost to Elkton, beat DeSmet, lost to Castlewood, who also had a very good team in 9A. 9A was just really loaded this year, and Coleman Egan played a lot of those teams. They did beat 2 9A teams in the regular season. And then you see the playoff wins here, 49-12 over Sunshine Bible, 46-0 over Bridgewater, 72-26. That was a score that came into the Kellerland studios, and we thought it was a basketball score, but they did beat Hitchcock 72, or rolled up 72 points on them in the quarterfinal round there. Steve Benson is the Tripp-Delmont head coach. Their last appearance, as we said, in 1987. They were also here in 1986 as a co-op. And, of course, the 9B titles at 83, 84, and 85 back when they were just Tripp by themselves, but they won it back-to-back-to-back. This year for Tripp-Delmont, a 48-0 win over Wakanda-Gayville-Volland got them started, and they've just rolled from there. 52 points against Cologne, 56 against Armour, 52-7 over Tom Oster's Avon team. You remember that one, Tom?
Yes, I do.
54-0 over Armour, 48-20 over Menno in the playoffs. They beat Corsica, and then they beat New Underwood 62-14 in the semis to get here to the Dakota Dome. But you have played Tripp-Delmont this year, and just Trent Sabers is their quarterback. They've got J.J. Gall, Matt Heeb in the backfield. They've just got tons of offensive weapons, and they like to score points, which they did on you guys and everybody else. But talk a little bit about Tripp-Delmont's offense.
Well, you're right. They're loaded with weapons. J.J. Gall, an outstanding running back. Has been for 3 years for Coach Benson, and Matt Heeb, very explosive. He plays out of the wing position and does a great job there at that wing position, goes in motion a lot. They like to throw the ball to him when he goes in motion. Brewer is an outstanding fullback, and then Trent Sabers at quarterback. What an outstanding athlete he is, and he's really come on at the end of the season.
Trent's a transfer from Bridgewater. His dad, Dan, is the new basketball coach at Tripp. Do they co-op in the basketball down there? Is it just Tripp, or is it Tripp-Delmont in basketball?
Tripp-Delmont is actually one school. They're not actually co-opted. It's one school. They're consolidated.
They will be tough with Sabers and the Reiner boys, who came back to Tripp-Delmont from Freeman after a year in Freeman, and we'll get into that, of course, a little bit later on. Take a look at the CE Hawks from Coleman Egan, 8-4. Merle Swen in his 4th year as head coach, and a little bit about them. Another quarterback, Justin Landis, for Coleman Egan, just a junior. We'll see him, kind of a Randall Cunningham style of passer. He's got a great arm on him. And Rick Luzzi, a running back for Coleman Egan, who's run for 11 touchdowns in 4 playoff games. And we'll see him get untracked, most likely. And this could be a shootout, could be a defensive game, who knows. But both of these teams like to score points. And Joe Van Gore is the man at the Dome on the PA system this afternoon. And let's get it up to him for the starting lineups for the 9B State Football Championship game. Joe?
Good morning, football fans. Welcome to the Dakota Dome on the campus of the University of South Dakota, as Vermillion, the Vermillion Public Schools, and USD welcome you to the 1997 South Dakota High School Football Championships. The South Dakota High School Activities Association welcomes you to Vermillion for the State High School Football Championships, and good sportsmanship on the part of coaches, players, and spectators is crucial to the future of athletics at all levels. The South Dakota High School Activities Association supports the need for proper behavior on the part of everyone in athletics. Be a sport and support good sportsmanship during these football championship games. Our first game of these championships is the 9B championship between the Coleman Egan CE Hawks and the Tripp-Delmont Wildcats. At this time, we will introduce the starting offensive lineup for the Coleman Egan CE Hawks with a record of 8-4. At center, number 55, Grant Groves. At guard, number 73, Bob Miles. At guard, number 41, Zeke Richter. At end, number 53, David Volker. At end, number 28, Tom Ockengay. At running back, number 4, Dan Bowen. At running back, number 26, Rick Luzzi. At running back, number 31, Jason Crisp. And at quarterback for the CE Hawks, number 5, Justin Landis. The CE Hawks are coached by Merle Sween and assisted by Les Hildebrand. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the starting defensive lineup for the Tripp-Delmont Wildcats. At middle linebacker, number 10, David Brewer. At defensive back, number 12, Matt Heeb. At defensive back, number 23, Adam Schladerer. At outside linebacker, number 13, Trent Sabers. At outside linebacker, number 36, J.J. Gall. At defensive tackle, number 42, Chad Guttmiller. Defensive tackle, number 77, Nick McCracken. At defensive end, number 80, Jared Reiner. And at defensive end, number 86, Ryan Reiner. The Wildcats, with a record of 12-0, are coached by Steve Benson and assisted by Jason Beets and Don Ludens. Ladies and gentlemen, your officials, as assigned by the South Dakota High School Activities Association, the crew from the Armor area, the referee is Burnell Glanzer. The umpire is Dave Fuller. The linesman is Ron Weber. And the line judge is Doug Odens. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise and place your hand over your heart as members of the Lower Brule High School Junior ROTC present the flag of our country. The members of the Color Guard Unit are, the Color Guard Commander is Melissa Iron-Thunder. From left to right, the Color Guard Robert Estes, the National Colors Joel Johnson, State Colors by Alva Stryker, the Lower Brule Junior ROTC Colors by Jana Browse, and the Color Guard is Brian LaRush. Would you please join in singing our national anthem as it is played by the Castlewood High School Band under the direction of Bruce Reinhardt? Would you please remain standing until the colors have been retired?
Great job by the Castlewood High School Band and the Lower Brule Junior ROTC Color Guard. Tripp-Delmont and Coleman Egan set to go at it in the 9B championship game. The kickoff is coming up next.
Championship 97, the South Dakota High School Football Championships, sponsored by Norwest, your community financial services store, providing to the nth degree products and service. Dakota Care, South Dakota's most powerful healthcare network. Farm Bureau, living beside you, working for you. Your local Heartland Chevy dealers. McKinnon Health Services, caring for life. And South Dakota State University, knowledge for life.
Okay, pop quiz. Where
should you go for answers about financing your education? Should you A, find a rocket scientist? B, ask Mr. Know-It-All? C, visit a fortune teller? Or D, go to the phone? That's right. One call to the Norwest Student Loan Center can get you the answers you need, quickly, with no hassles. Norwest Student Loan Center. Make the right call.
Championship 97, the South Dakota High School Football Championships, sponsored by the American Dairy Association and your local dairy farmers. Your Northland Ford dealers. Northwestern Public Service, that's what neighbors are for. Sioux Valley Hospitals and Health System, there is a difference. And by Taco John's, a whole lot of Mexican.
Tom Oster from Avon, Tom Neiman from KELOLAND TV, joined by Mark Haugen, our stats guy. Stacy Bauer is down on the field. We'll go to her at halftime, and whenever necessary, Tripp-Delmont will kick it off. J.J. Gall is the kicker. Deep to receive are Luzy and Landis for Coleman Egan. Little squibber, and it's taken on a short hop by Nick Dahl at the Coleman Egan just outside the 45-yard line. So they'll set up shop there with Justin Landis at the QB, Rick Luzy, Jason Crisp, and Dan Bowen in the backfield. Tom Ockengay, Zeke Richter, Grant Groves, Bob Miles, and David Volker on the offensive line for Coleman Egan.
I'm not sure that kick was intentionally squibbed like that. They've got a pretty good kicker.
Full house backfield, return and give it to Luzy. Tackle made by Trent Sabers, pickup of about 4 for Luzy. Luzy is a leading rusher, that is, for Coleman Egan. As we said, 10 rushing touchdowns in the playoffs, 1 on an interception return, but he's led them all year.
Just a little power play up the right side. If they can keep that going, they'll be doing well.
Out of the I set, Crisp is the fullback. Split left, Landis will give to Luzy again. Gain of about 4 more. And you talk about a trap, Tom. It takes a little bit to develop. That's why you see Landis give the big fake like that. But what's going on in the line when there's a trap play?
Well, you're trying to influence the defensive lineman, and you're pulling one man down the line. Hopefully, like you said, they'll pause for a second when they see the quarterback raise his hand up, and then the offensive lineman comes down and trap blocks an end.
It'll be 3rd down and about 1.5 yards. Back to the full house, Landis. We'll give this time to Dan Bowen off the left side. 1st down and more. Finally hauled down out there by Matt Heeb. One of the safeties for Tripp-Delmont, but it is a 1st down for Coleman Egan.
And that's a great play coming off that trap they just ran. Then they ran the counter play coming back with it. This time they don't pull anybody, and there is no pulling lineman, just a counter play going the opposite way.
Talk about the field a little bit, Tom. Some of these teams are used to playing on an 80-yard field where it's not so much the length, but the width of the field. Of course, this is a 100-yard field, and it's a lot wider.
Right. 80-yard field is only 40 yards wide, and this field is 53 yards wide. The length really doesn't have any factor in it other than maybe field position. During the game, you don't have as far to go to score, but that's equal for both teams. But some teams like to get outside, and it's a little more difficult to do on an 80-yard field.
Made by Sabers. Luzy on the carry again, picked up about 1 yard, maybe not even that, so it'll be 2nd and a long 9 for Coleman Egan from the Tripp-Delmont 38-yard line, just underway, 9B championship. Landis gives again to Bowen.
That's that same counter play they ran a little bit earlier for success, but this time Tripp's defensive line got a lot more penetration.
Chad Guthmiller was the first man in there, made the first contact, and then got some help 77 is Nick McCracken. Reiner and Reiner are the defensive ends for Tripp-Delmont. Jared on one side, he's the sophomore. Ryan Reiner at the other end, he is the senior of the two brothers. Trent Sabers, David Brewer, and J.J. Gall at the linebackers. Matt Heeb and Adam Schwaderer in the defensive secondary for Tripp-Delmont. On 3rd and 11, Bowen lost 2 yards on that last one, and Landis this time is going to roll. Not even thinking pass, he's going to run it the whole way, and Sabers comes over and hauls him down after a gain of about 3.
Yeah, no intention there whatsoever to throw the ball. He was running that from the beginning.
Landis in 4. Take another look. As you say, Tommy just put his head down. They've only thrown 11 passes in 4 playoff games. They had one game they didn't even have a passing yard. But Landis has run for 5 touchdowns in 4 playoff games, so they'll keep it on the ground for the most part.
Well, we were watching Landis warm up in the pregame, and he did an outstanding job of throwing the ball. I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and air it out here today.
So on 4th and 8 from the Tripp-Delmont 37. Landis, after a couple of fakes, he's looking for Bowen, but again, Gus Miller and McCracken, and finally brought down by Jared Reiner. So Tripp-Delmont holds on the first possession, and the Wildcats will take over on offense.
Again, they were going to just run a play-action pass. You see him fake both ways here in play-action pass, but they get too much penetration. But during the regular play, I was watching downfield, and Tripp-Delmont had great coverage downfield, so he may have not had any place to throw that ball if he would have had time.
Offensively, Tripp-Delmont comes out with Trent Sabers at the quarterback, J.J. Gall and David Brewer in the backfield. 12 in motion is Matt Heeb. And Sabers will give it to Gall.
And they'll try and lull you to sleep with Matt Heeb going out in motion out there. If you watch that play, they just ran an off-tackle play there. But after about 3 or 4 times of doing that, they'll send Heeb straight up the field on the deep route, and you've got to stay with him because he's extremely fast.
Sabers has thrown for 15 touchdowns this year. He's run for 10 touchdowns. J.J. Gall, their leading rusher, 1,578 yards and 25 touchdowns on the ground. They've just piled up the points, 60 rushing touchdowns. They average 5 rushing touchdowns a game. And Sabers again will give it to Gall. Pops outside. Dan Bowen and Jason Crisp combine on the tackle, and the loss of about a yard, so it'll be 3rd and long now for Tripp-Delmont.
And that's the same play they ran on first down, just an off-tackle play, lead back. There he comes. That's a little bit later into the play, and he's trying to get outside. Coleman Egan is showing real good speed here because J.J. Gall has a lot of speed, and they've contained him real well.
3rd down and 9. Tripp-Delmont from its own 40-yard line. Out of the wing tee, and Sabers back to pass. Brought down this time by Justin Landis, and they lost another half a yard. It's going to be 4th and 10 for Tripp-Delmont.
Very good defensive penetration on that play. By the time that Trent Sabers got back, here he goes back to pass. You'll notice just before he gets ready to step up, the pressure's there. He looks to run the ball, and he does that quite frequently, too. He's also very quick.
Landis comes from that left defensive end position. And Gus Miller back to kick it away for Tripp-Delmont. Line drive. Thought it was going to get over Landis' head, but he hauls it in at his 25. Deep down the sideline. Gus Miller is there. But Justin Landis took it at his own 25, returned it to the Tripp-Delmont 25, 50-yard return for Justin Landis, and he sets his team up in perfect position. Did they get the wall established there?
They got the wall established. I was a little worried that they might call a clip there. There were 2 kids that kind of got together. I'm glad there was no flag because it would look like incidental contact. Or is there a flag?
From our vantage point, we can't see down beyond the sideline on this near side. But Burnell Glanzer is going to bring it back.
They must have called that clipping penalty right when the wall was getting set up. It looked like there was some contact into the back.
So it'll erase a 50-yard return. We'll take another look here. See down in that left-hand corner, left bottom corner of your screen.
Occurred about the 40-yard line. Right there.
Yep. Brian Mogg, number 44 for Tripp-Delmont, was in position maybe to make a tackle and caught it in the back.
This could change the play calling here quite a bit, this difference in field position. That turns out to be about a 55-yard penalty.
So from their 21-yard line, Coleman Egan sets it up 1st and 10. Landis to Rick Luzzi. Nothing there. Gall came up from the safety position, tripped him up.
Good penetration that time by Gall. Good read.
You kind of try to feel things out early on in a game, though, don't you really? You don't expect to see maybe the first 2 or 3 possessions where you're going to score, but you just kind of want to establish some things, Tom?
Well, as a coach, you're sitting on the sideline over there, and you're trying to figure out what they're going to give you. If they're going to stack up 7 guys in the box and try and take away the run, you know, you just have to feel them out a little bit.
Landis was wrapped up for a second, and now Ryan Reiner is in there to take him down way back at the Coleman Egan 7-yard line.
Again, the pass protection just broke down for him. He barely got set to look downfield. And
he had Kelly Lahr split wide right. He was looking for him, but Guthmiller got in there first. He's number 42, and then Ryan Reiner, the big 6'7" senior, finished him off.
Guthmiller is an outstanding football player. Gets good penetration on that play.
Loss of 13 on the play. It's 3rd and 23 from the 7-yard line for Coleman Egan. Landis. Oh, he's got a man wide. He got by Gall out there, and it was Luzzi out of the backfield.
Actually had his man beat. The ball was just a little bit underthrown. Had a lot of running room if that ball's on the money.
But again, maybe hurried a little bit.
Yep.
Luzzi had shook loose, but Landis had to get rid of the ball by the time that he had shooken loose from that defender back there. And the pressure again, as you said, Tom, causes 4th and 23 and out of his own end zone. They'll have to kick it away. Luzzi does so, a little line drive. Matt Heave is going to run it down at his own 47, and he's taken down right away by Jason Crisp.
Great tackle.
4:49 to play, first quarter. We'll be right back.
You want a real 4x4, not a toy. You want features from an armored car, a monster truck, and a stretch limo. This is it. The Northland Edition Ford Explorer Sport. With the room and safety of an armored car, the power and traction of a monster truck, and the comfort features of a chauffeured ride. It's not some overpriced toy. With over $2,300 in package savings, the Northland Edition Explorer is just $279 a month. We call it America's best-selling sport utility. You'll call it a real 4x4. See your Northland Ford dealer today.
He's not a star on his neighborhood softball team. And his work at the annual barbecue wasn't very impressive. But around here, he's still a hometown hero. You see, he's the local Farm Bureau insurance agent. For auto, home, and property protection, and for life insurance that can help protect your family's financial security, call a Farm Bureau insurance agent today. Living beside you, working for you.
So much for offense so far, Tom. A lot of ball game left, but you kind of really do expect that. 2 high-powered offenses that come in, and it just takes a while. Defense really actually does take over in a lot of state championship games, though.
Well, they're nervous. These kids, you know, it's a big, big game for her. It's on television, and I'm sure they're nervous. It's going to take them a little bit to get their execution down, but I think we'll see it explode out of here pretty quick.
You don't want to make a mistake right away. You put yourself in a hole, and a lot of nerves out there. So Tripp-Delmont, for its second possession, will set it down at its own 44-yard line. Sabres on the keeper. He's got some running room inside, but shut off and driven back. They're going to give him about a 5-yard gain out to the 49-yard line.
And that's where Trent Sabres is so dangerous. They like to run the option, but you'll notice throughout the game that they don't pitch the ball very often. That Sabres does like to turn the ball up the field. And if they give him a little bit of an opening there, he'll take it.
2nd and 5. Out of the tight wing tee. Heave in motion. The gives to Gall. Good block there by Nick McCracken, and Gall got to the outside. Kelly Lahr is there, number 7. bring him down. J.J. Gall all the way down to the Coleman-Egan 6-yard line, and there's some explosiveness, Tom.
Yeah, it wouldn't take long. As talented as these two teams are, you knew it wouldn't be long before somebody opened one up.
He just kind of picked his way around. Nick McCracken was out there, number 77, giving him the lead block.
And that starts out as just an off-tackle play. And J.J. does a great job of finding the opening there, staying with these blockers, and then runs about 70 yards for a 40-yard gain.
There's Lahr. Had a shot outside the 15-yard line, and Sabres this time will give it back to Gall on the pitch sweep. Taken down just outside to the goal line by number 62. For Coleman-Egan, that's Adam Heinrichs. But Tripp-Delmont knocking on the door for the opening score of the ball game.
Just a little toss sweep here. The play is designed to get outside, but J.J. saw an opening inside and cut it back in, but that play is designed to go outside.
David Brewer on the lead block. It'll be 2nd and goal for Tripp-Delmont. Brewer and Gall in the backfield. Sabres. David Brewer straight ahead. Touchdown, Tripp-Delmont. David Brewer, 175-pound senior. Straight ahead give, and his 7th touchdown of the year gives Tripp-Delmont a 6-0 lead.
That's just a simple dive right up the middle, quick play when you're on the 1-yard line. And Mr. Brewer is a good football player. His name didn't get called near as much when you've got the likes of Trent Sabres and J.J. Gall and Matt Heeb in the backfield, but he's a great football player.
Two-point conversion from the 2.5-yard line. Sabres, there is the pitch, and it's knocked away by Landis.
And if you noticed on that particular option there, that looked to me like that might have been predetermined to pitch because he didn't ride the ride down very far before he let it go.
Against the option, penetration will just destroy it, won't it? The deeper you get defensively, the better off you are, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why when you're running that option, you'd like to get a few yards successfully up the middle on the dive, and that keeps those linebackers home.
There's a look at Steve Benson in the blue shirt there. Guided his team to a 12-0 record this year.
I noticed in the opening kickoff that Coleman-Egan, when they set up their kickoff return, if you'll notice, their 3 deep men are set up just like their wishbone backfield is when they run out of the wishbone.
But the big play was the clip on the punt return for Coleman-Egan, put them way back in their own end zone. Had to punt it away, and Tripp-Delmont goes 56 yards on the scoring drive. Capped by the 1-yard run by David Brewer. 6-0 Tripp-Delmont, 3:11 to play, first quarter. Coleman-Egan, I don't even know if we've mentioned it yet, making their first ever appearance here in the Dakota Dome in a state championship game.
Coach Steen has done an outstanding job with those kids, and I believe this is his 3rd year in Coleman-Egan.
And again, the kick by J.J. Gall. Out of bounds at the 24-yard line. So Coleman-Egan will have the option of taking it or re-kicking it. Burnell Glanzer and the crew from Armour blowing the whistle in this 9B championship game. Dave Fuller, Ron Weber, and Doug Oden.
Looks like they're going to take the ball and take the penalty, and the ball will be theirs at the 35. Extremely important now for Coleman-Egan to get at least 1 or 2 first downs here. Make sure that they don't create too much momentum for Tripp-Delmont.
Landis gives to Lucy straight ahead. No gain. Booth Miller and David Brewer combine on the tackle.
They may have to open it up and throw the ball a little bit more than what they've thrown it in the playoffs because Tripp-Delmont's got such a big, aggressive defensive line.
And you said before the game even started here that maybe the one way to hurt Tripp-Delmont is to throw the ball, get into that secondary.
Well, you know, and that maybe seems...
Either that or run it like this.
Yeah.
Dan Bowen gets outside. Going to be close to a first down. Out over the 44-yard line. They'll give it to him right at the 45, and that is where the first down marker is.
Okay, there you just have a counter again, and that serves kind of the same purpose as throwing the ball in the flats. Tripp-Delmont is so aggressive on defense that they really bought hard on that fake, and then that opens up the outside for them.
It is a first down on the run by Bowen. All at the 45-yard line. Landis will set him down. Kelly Lahr is split wide right. And they give on the counter again to Luzy. Luzy into the secondary. Rick Luzy finally brought down by J.J. Gall at the Tripp-Delmont 37.
That's the trap we saw earlier in the game that they had a good run on. If you watch the offensive line on this play, you can see the pulling lineman, 72, coming down and making the trap blocks, bringing him free.
Rick Luzy he also participated in cross country this year. He was 5th at the state cross country meet a couple of weeks ago. So on 1st and 10 from the Tripp-Delmont 36, Landis will give it again to Luzy over the right side.
It may be too early to tell, but it seems like Coleman Egan has had a little more luck running to their left, their offensive left.
On the counter play, right?
Right.
Gain of about close to 4 on the run for Rick Luzy. It'll be 2nd and 6. Minute 44 to play, first quarter. Landis with Crisp and Luzy in the backfield. Left side, as you said, Tom, a lot of success over there, and another first down.
And again, that trap play just going the other way this time. The offensive guard on the right side pulls down the left side of the line of scrimmage and trap blocks the DNs, brings him free.
You fill that hole with the running back, right?
41's coming down, trap blocks the end, and the running back goes right in behind him.
Bob Miles is the right offensive guard for Coleman Egan, who's pulling out of there and leading those blocks for Rick Luzy. 1st and 10. Coleman Egan. This time it's Dan Bowen. Gain of a couple. Well, you find something that works, you run it till it doesn't, huh?
You bet. You got to stay with it. They've got that going now. You can stay with it. Maybe if you get yourself into a 2nd and short situation, then maybe you can go with a little play action pass and try and catch the defense sleeping a little.
Going to be 2nd and a long 6. Just outside the 22-yard line of Tripp-Delmont. Landis with Kelly Lahr in the slot right. They give to Luzy. Rick Luzy again into the secondary. That's another first down to the Tripp-Delmont 12-yard line.
Luzy doing an extremely good job of running the football.
Not a big kid. He's only 5'10", weighs 155 pounds. Just a junior.
That time just a cross block by the guard in the end and opened it up for him, and he's really quick. Gets through that hole in a hurry.
Grant Groves and Miles and Volker. Zeke Richter, Ockengay and company on the offensive line getting the job done for Coleman Egan. They set it up 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line. Wishbone backfield. Bowen left side. Nothing there this time. As Jared Reiner and company were there.
No gain on the play. It'll bring up the 2nd down instead.
And Bowen go get a new tire on.
Number 77 McCracken with the tackle.
He's actually been one of their leading rushers in the playoffs. 7 touchdowns. We have completed 1 quarter of play at the end of the first. Tripp-Delmont 6, Coleman Egan nothing. Coleman Egan knocking on the door though in this 9B championship game.
Taco John's 6-pack and a pound is ready to go. 6 delicious, authentic, fresh-made Taco John's tacos and a full pound of crispy golden potato olays.
There's a whole lot of Mexican going on at Taco John's. Taco John's.
Taco John's 6-pack and a pound. It's a fiesta in a bag.
Role models are important in today's society. You can serve as a role model for others the next time you display good sportsmanship at a high school athletic event. Good sports are winners, so remember to be a good sport and act properly. Everyone appreciates the good values portrayed by acts of good sportsmanship.
When you hear this sound, you know someone somewhere needs help, but you also know help is on the way. From McKinnon Hospital, the region's first and only verified Level 2 trauma center, where trauma sets the entire hospital in motion, monitoring the patient's journey, preparing for arrival, and delivering advanced medical treatment. It's a critical distinction. It's a critical difference. The verified Level 2 trauma center at McKinnon Hospital.
Here's a look at that scoring run in the first quarter by David Brewer of Tripp-Delmont. After a big game by J.J. Gall, got him in scoring position. Brewer capped it off. Take a look at the scoring summary. 4 plays, 55 yards. Brewer on the touchdown run to give Tripp-Delmont a 6-0 lead. But Coleman Egan, 2nd and 10 from the 12-yard line. This is an important down because of what, Tom Oster?
Well, you've got to get good yardage here, or if they stop you here for no gain, you're going to have to put the ball in the air.
Lucy, right side, gets outside. Can he get to the corner? Touchdown, Rick Lucy.
Good play, just outran him to the corner.
Matt Heeb was out there, but Lucy had enough room, and there's maybe where the 100-yard field, the wider field, makes a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a 40-yard wide field there. You need to have been run out of bounds before he got to the end zone.
Schwaderer and number 12, Matt Heeb, were there, but Rick Lucy, his 12th touchdown in the playoffs, comes with 11:54, first play of the second quarter, ties it up at 6. Coleman Egan trying to take the lead as Landis gives it again to Lucy, right side, and he got piled up right at the goal line and did not get in.
Same play they scored the touchdown on, only this time he didn't kick it outside. Didn't quite get in.
Guthmiller again on the tackle for Tripp-Delmont and keeps it deadlocked at 6-6. But that was an important series for Coleman Egan.
It really was.
Get this thing tied up. They don't get in there.
Then the momentum really swings towards Tripp-Delmont's side of the field, and then you worry about things maybe getting out of hand early. But Coleman Egan, an outstanding job of marching a long drive down the field and getting it in the end zone.
Probably a little too early to say, but doubters of Coleman Egan, they're probably figuring out these guys are pretty good, you know.
Well, that's just it, you know. Because Tripp-Delmont was undefeated and Coleman Egan had 4 losses, I think there were a lot of people who thought Tripp-Delmont might walk away with this football game. But Coleman Egan again played just a really, really difficult schedule.
Merle Swen, the Coleman Egan head coach there in the hat. What's his story? You talked a little bit to him this week about how he got in to coaching football, Tom.
Well, he's a graduate from a high school in Minnesota, went to Dakota State and played football at Dakota State, and from there got his first teaching job at Sully Buttes and was an assistant out at Sully Buttes, and that's the first 9-man football game he'd ever seen in his life. And a year later, he gets the head job at Coleman Egan. They go to Chester to play a football game, and it's the first game he'd ever seen played on an 80-yard field.
Swen now in his 4th year at Coleman Egan. Matt Heeb will take the kickoff for Tripp-Delmont across the 30. Fumble. And it looked like Tripp-Delmont got back on top of it, but Landis popped it loose.
Tripp-Delmont's ball.
And Guthmiller got there again. So Heeb takes it out to the 39-yard line. Guthmiller was there to recover the fumble. And Coleman Egan wants timeout. A lot of good football down there in that. You're part of the country down there, Tom. The Avon, Tripp area, Gregory, of course, maybe a little further out west, and one of the bigger classes.
Bonham right next door. Great football tradition there. A lot of teams in the Great Plains Conference that have won state championships. Tripp-Delmont, of course, winning 4, and I think runner-up once. Corsica's won 1. Armour's won 1. Coloma's won 1 and been runner-up 3 times. Geddes has won 1. So a lot of state champions right from that Great Plains Conference. And 11-man also, like you said, Gregory outstanding every year. Platt's been really good. Bonham. It's interesting about this timeout for Coleman Egan. It makes me wonder why they would take a timeout at this stage of the game if they didn't have somebody in on defense they wanted, or if maybe if it's a little warm down there and they just wanted to make sure that they were fresh.
Yeah, you see that a lot in these finals games here in the Dome. You see a lot of cramps because it is so warm down on the field, and Sabres is going nowhere. David Volker and Derek Dudley and several CE Hawks.
Good penetration. Good penetration by the defensive end there. Landis does a good job of turning that play back in, and then pursuit from the backside brings him down.
50 there is Dudley. 53 is Volker.
Again, that's the option play that I mentioned earlier, and if you notice there, Sabres did not want to pitch that ball on the option. He wanted to turn that ball up, and then the play just blew apart.
And it's tough. I mean, it's tough to run it like that when you make up your mind before you actually read the defense.
Exactly.
Loss of about 8 yards on the play. Sabres this time wants to throw. He had Gus Miller in the middle. Now he's going to tuck it in, get back to the original line of scrimmage, and then some. Sabres out to the 49-yard line, and that's close to a first down. Pickup of 18 on the play.
I believe he has the first down. Great defensive coverage downfield. Absolutely no place for Matt Heeb to throw the ball. They had him blanketed downfield. Besides, he's going to have to take it upfield. And once you get him in the open field, he's tough to bring down.
Volker finally came from the backside along with Landis to make the stop, but it is a first down just outside their own 49-yard line. Sabres with Brewer and Gall in the backfield. David Brewer straight ahead for 5 yards.
Simple dive play again up the middle. And that's what happens. You worry so much about J.J. Gall and Matt Heeb, Trent Sabres, and all of a sudden they pop a quick one up the middle with Mr. Brewer.
You see that a lot with the Cornhuskers. Nebraska runs that outside all the time, and then Makovica right up the middle. 50-yard touchdown. You see it every other game with those guys.
And it's easy for a linebacker to get lulled to sleep, making sure that you don't get beat to the outside, and all of a sudden they pop the one right up the middle.
2nd and 6 from the Coleman Egan 44. Sabres counter this time to Heeb.
And that play again was a trap play designed to go inside, and he busted it outside.
Dan Bowen stayed at home. They might get him for a face mask here at the end of the play.
There he is there. He's hard to see the trap block, but that play was designed to go inside. Guthmiller with the trap block, and he decides to take it outside.
Really, the longer that play takes to develop, the better, right?
Right. Yeah, you'd really like to sell that, get your linebackers to bite hard on it with the misdirection and then trap block coming down. It's supposed to spring it open. And Coleman Egan's been doing a great job of running their trapping game.
Mask on the defense.
That'll tack on.
Face mask, defense.
15 yards and the second big penalty now against Coleman Egan. First the clip on the punt and now the face mask.
Is there an inadvertent face mask in high school? Are they all 15 yards?
They're all 15. They're all personal fouls and 15 yards in high school.
You don't have the 5-yard like you would in the pros?
No.
So on a first down at the 28-yard line, Sabres will give it the ball. Ball's on the turf. Tripp-Delmont got back on top of it with Ryan Reiner.
Second bullet that Tripp-Delmont has dodged on fumbles. One on the... Here's the play. Again, he had an option on that play to keep that ball. Sabres did, and looked to me like he maybe couldn't make up his mind, wanted to pull that ball and keep it, and that's what caused the fumble.
Ryan Reiner on the recovery. They actually pick up about 1.5 yards on the play, so it'll be 2nd and 8 for Tripp-Delmont. Sabres straight back. He's got Heeb in the flat. First down, Matt Heeb knocked out at the 1-yard line.
Great hit by Landis downfield.
That was a pretty good little shake move, though, about the 15-yard line by Matt Heeb after the fingertip catch here.
That's right. Great catch by Heeb. Then so explosive down the sidelines. Like I said earlier, you get him one-on-one, he's awful difficult to bring down. He makes 31 miss, and then Landis with the great hit right on the goal line.
Tom Hockengay was there, but he was shook loose as we take a look from the reverse angle. That's a pretty little
dipsy doodle move.
And here comes Landis from the free safety position, but they give straight up the middle. Sabres on the keeper. Touchdown, Tripp-Delmont after the big pickup on the pass play to Matt Heave, and it's 12-6, Tripp-Delmont.
And the 15-yard penalty again comes into play to get him down the field.
Sabres right in there behind his center, Brian Mogg. You talked a little bit about this kid, just a freshman, Brian Mogg, the center for Tripp-Delmont.
Just an outstanding football player for a freshman out there, and he's going to get nothing but better and bigger.
Mogg, Noah John, Nick McCracken on that interior offensive line for Tripp-Delmont as they'll go for two, and they go right back behind him with Sabres.
That's the danger of that 4-2 defense. There's no nose guard over the center, and the two linebackers are stacked up over the guards, and that does leave quite an opening there on short yardage plays like that. A lot of times on an extra point or short yardage, you'll see a coach go to an odd front to circumvent that, but that time they stayed in the 4-2, and Sabres took advantage of it.
Sabres with the touchdown run. Sabres with the two-point conversion, and it's 14-6 Tripp-Delmont. And the penalty was big, but you got the impression on that drive, especially once they get the fumble back, that they were destined to go in and score on that drive. It just didn't take them quite as long because of the penalty.
I think their size is starting to take a little bit of effect, too, on the defensive line of Coleman Egan. Tripp-Delmont's so big up front.
Trent Sabres, 11th rushing touchdown of the year.
Really important now for Coleman Egan to take this kickoff return and get good field position on it, a couple of first downs, get the momentum back, get their home crowd involved.
Jason Crisp in your screen there. He is the middleman. Kelly Lahr and Justin Landis will be deep to receive the kick for Coleman Egan. 9:45 to play, second quarter. Tripp-Delmont up 14-6 in this State B championship game. J.J. Gall, see if he gets a leg into this one.
A little better kick. Both Crisp and Landis back there. Oh, he's down. Both dangerous return men.
Kelly Lahr took it at his own 18, dropped to one knee, and he's down there. They'll give him the 19-yard line, so Coleman Egan will set it up. And
that might have something to do with the dome, too. You're not used to that.
Take a look at the numbers. Anything jump out at you there, Tom?
Well, if you look at the first downs, Coleman Egan with 5 first downs that Tripp-Delmont's won. I'm not sure that's first quarter stats. So you can tell there that Coleman Egan really moving the ball down the field, just not to get it in right away on the first quarter. Then first play of the second quarter, they get it in. But rushing yards are totally even. So Coleman Egan's right in this football game. They just can't make any mistakes here.
Landis with Crisp. Bowen. This is Dan Bowen, and he's knocked down behind the line of scrimmage.
Guthmiller with good penetration again.
Chad Guthmiller, 6'3", 195-pound senior. He's their leading tackler. Number 10, who came flying in there, David Brewer from the middle linebacker spot.
They really fill fast. Their linebackers come up quick, and that's why, again, I said that the traps and the counters may be effective, or the passing game in the flats, because those linebackers come up so hard.
Loss of 1 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 11. Coleman Egan from its own 17-yard line. Landis rolling. Reiner had a hand on him. He was looking for Kelly Lahr, just a little bit overthrown.
There was a play-action pass, but the defensive end, Reiner, does a good job of staying home that time.
Ryan Reiner on that left defensive end. The kid's 6'7". He got that long arm out on him.
Does a little play action here. 53 releases, and Reiner comes right through, does a good job, doesn't bite on the play action. Landis shows his arm there, though. He's off balance and still throws that ball 35, 40 yards downfield.
And he was whipping it 50 yards easily, just getting warmed up before the game. So it's going to be 3rd and long for Coleman Egan, 3rd and 11. And you'd think pass again.
You'd think maybe screen here. Oh, they're going downfield.
Guthmiller again combines with Ryan Reiner.
One thing about the Tripp-Delmont's defensive line, not only are they bigger than Coleman Egan's, but those kids are so tall. You know, both Reiners over 6'6", and that makes it very difficult for the quarterback to see in there, even if he does have a little time, which he didn't have any of that time. And then Guthmiller comes in on the blitz there, too, and makes the tackle.
And you see Guthmiller, 42 there. Bob Miles, Coleman Egan's left guard, gave him a good shot, but Guthmiller just stayed with it. Loss of 5, and it's going to be 4th and 17. And Landis at his own goal line to kick it away. J.J. Gall and Matt Heeb. Somebody get a hand on that one, Tom?
Went off the side of his foot.
Sabres picks it up at the 29. Actually lost a couple of yards, but they're going to be in great shape.
Yeah, that was a big play for Tripp-Delmont. I think the ball just went off the side of his foot or took his eye off of it and shanked it off to the right.
Kind of caught the front of the ball. The point of the ball is actually where he kicked it. He didn't get a lot of the football.
Very important now for Coleman Egan's defense to step it up here a notch and hold them 4 and out here, because they'll probably be in 4-down territory already here.
Landis, Groves, Gary Hemmer, and David Volker on that front defensive 4 for Coleman Egan as Sabres sets him down. Heeb in motion left. Give to Gall behind Brewer, and J.J. Gall picks up about 5.
Power play again, nothing fancy. They're just running that ball off tackle, and basically what you're saying when you run that play is we're going to beat you man-to-man up front.
Give Gall the 4-yard gain inside the 30-yard line to Coleman Egan 28. Ryan Mogg, the center, Noah John, that is, Nick McCracken, the guards, Guthmiller and Ryan Reiner on the offensive line for Tripp-Delmont. Sabres wanted to throw, now being chased by Volker. Gets away, he's got Heeb at the 18-yard line. It's only going to be a gain. Well, they get 7 yards and a first down out of it. Nice play by Trent Saber.
Early on in this play, he had Heeb wide open, and the defense was penetrating. He didn't see him and didn't get him the ball. Then he scrambles. Right here, he has Heeb wide open downfield. Can't get him the ball. A little penetration. Then does an outstanding job to get away from this tackle and put the ball right down the sidelines. And that's a difficult play because he's running left and he's right-handed. Great catch by Heeb.
And a good job by Heeb, though, to stay in the pattern, get himself back open after they missed him the first time. And again, there's that first scoring drive for Tripp-Delmont, capped by the 1-yard run by David Brewer. Gave him a 6-0 lead. That was in the first quarter. First play of the second quarter, Rick Luzzi scampered on a 12-yard touchdown run to tie it up 6-6. Neither team could convert on the 2-point conversion. And then here in the second quarter, Trent Sabers on a 1-yard run after a big pickup by Matt Heeb on a pass from Trent Sabers, and then Sabers with the 2-point conversion. And that's where we stand right now with 7 minutes, 7 seconds to go before halftime. Tripp-Delmont leading Coleman Egan. Tripp-Delmont 2/5 of the way to their rushing average for the year. They average 5 rushing touchdowns a game. They've only punted 20 times in 12 games.
And that's an amazing statistic there, because a lot of those games, they were way ahead of those games. A lot of their JV kids maybe were in there playing and still only punted that few at times.
First and 10, J.J. Gall left side. Volker there on the tackle.
A gain of 7 yards on the play.
Along with Ockengay. But gain of close to 8 this time for Gall.
That's their favorite play. They've run that probably as much as they've run all their other plays combined, and that's just that off-tackle play to Gall. And what they're hoping for there is to get him one-on-one with the man in the secondary.
Giving 7 on the play. On the last run, it'll be 2nd and 3. Sabres, quick hitter to Heeb. Kelly Lahr was right there, though, to take him down short of the first down.
Great job by Kelly Lahr. Tells you what kind of athlete he is to bring Heeb down there.
Kind of a Chris Carter play. You got an athlete out there, just throw it out and see what he can do with it.
That's right. Great job by Lahr, because a lot of teams they played this year, they'd run that play and nobody out there could catch him.
No gain, maybe a gain of about a foot on that last play. It'll be third and a short 3 for Tripp-Delmont just outside the Coleman-Egan 10-yard line. Heave the wing back, motion left. Sabres straight ahead. And a fumble, and it looks like this time Coleman-Egan, well, it's still a scrum.
I believe Coleman-Egan has the ball.
And the third time is a charm as Dan Bowen comes out of there with the football. Third fumble for Tripp-Delmont, and they finally lose one.
Okay, if you noticed here, I told you before about the 4-2 defense and how it's open there. Looked to me like Tripp-Delmont was going to try and take advantage of that again, and right at the last second, the defensive tackle for Coleman-Egan slid down over center and messed that play up.
Watch Dan Bowen here. There's about 6 guys that go after the football. Bowen, number 4, just waiting. Where is it? There it is. He kind of went in there and just took it away.
Kind of like on Sunday afternoon. One guy might not be anywhere near it, but he comes out of the pile with it because he's stronger than everybody else.
Well, there's the defensive stop for the CE Hawks. Rick Luzzi is out of the ball game right now. Stacy Bauer on the sidelines reports, and we'll try to get a report on what is wrong with him as Bowen
there was no gain on that play. Just a little counter play right up the middle, and again, Sabres right there to make the play.
Report from Stacy Bauer on the sideline is that Luzzi might have had the wind, not the wind knocked out of him, but close to it. He's kind of got a back injury right now after getting knocked. So he is out of the ball game at the moment. No gain on the last play. It'll be 2nd and 10. They go split backs this time. Landis on the keeper. Jared Reiner was there, stayed home, got some help from Nick McCracken.
Again, Tripp-Delmont shows their extreme quickness out there in the flats. When he first bootlegged that ball out, first turns on the bootleg here, he's got a lot of running room out there, but Tripp-Delmont just closes in a hurry.
Reiner's just tough to block. Both of the Reiners, actually.
They really are.
168, 167.
They really are. You know, they're probably not as maybe as strong or physical as their defensive tackles inside, but they're so tall and smart kids. It's hard for them to get a good block on them.
Defensive end, you just want him to stay at home. 3rd and 9. Landis. Looking for Kelly Lahr, a little bit behind him. It's going to be 4th and long for Coleman-Egan, rather.
Well, hopefully Coleman-Egan can do a little better job here with their punting game, get a little bit better punt off, and won't give Tripp-Delmont quite the field position they did last time.
Gave it to Tripp-Delmont just outside the 30 last time. Fortunate to get the fumble, but 3 and out for Coleman-Egan. 3:52 to play before halftime. Landis about 3 yards deeper than he was last time.
Another poor punt off the front of his foot, like you said last time, Tom.
J.J. Golf from his own 44. J.J. Golf, middle of the field. He's to the 10, 5. Landis is there. Gall. Touchdown, Tripp-Delmont. 43 yards.
Just an outstanding return on a real poor punt. The ball came off the front of his foot again, like you said last time. And once J.J. Gall gets the ball in the open field, here it is. If you watch, the ball comes off just the front of his toes. And J.J. in the open field. Good block there by Sabres.
He didn't mess around with east-west. He went north-south.
Right up the middle of the field.
Matt Heeb had returned a couple of punts for touchdowns for Tripp-Delmont. That's the first for J.J. Gall. And it gives Tripp-Delmont a 20-6 lead. Sabres will give it to Gall on the 2-point conversion. And it's 22-6 Tripp-Delmont.
Looks like there's a flag down on the play. Just a little student body rape.
Holding over there on the backside.
Yeah. Like it might have been Noah John there.
and they'll try it again.
Hold on the offense. Holding, offense.
Well, we might get to see now if he goes in motion here. I would look for him to get the ball up the outside of the field here if they run him in motion.
Go pass in the flat.
Right.
So take the 2 off the board. It's 20-6. 2-point conversion, Sabres. He was looking for one of the big Reiners over the middle, and now he's got Guthmiller coming back the other way.
Just ran a crossing pattern with the 2 tight ends. He looked to me like this time he was maybe just more of a decoy, and both the tight ends ran a crossing pattern.
Ryan Reiner cuts across your screen there, and he comes back to Guthmiller the other way. 22-6, Tripp-Delmont, 3:38 to play before halftime.
Individual home ownership on reservation lands possible at last. Determination finds a way, and for families across the region, loans are turning dreams into reality. Because a house becomes a home when the house becomes your own.
Helping South Dakotans to live healthier lives is important. For nearly 50 years, we've been the largest provider of health care coverage all across the state, providing service and innovative programs designed to improve the quality of your lives and help you control health care costs. It's all part of our plan for a healthier future for you and your family. From Wellmark, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of South Dakota.
Talk a little bit about that. The kicking game is kind of hurting Coleman Egan right now on those punts. Not any time for anybody to get down and cover anything, Tom.
No, the line drive punt straight down the field doesn't give your kick coverage any chance at all to get downfield and get set up for the tackle on that play. And that just gives J.J. Gall or Matt Heeb, whoever returns the punt back there, an outstanding chance to run a punt back.
Punt return touchdown by J.J. Gall gives Tripp-Delmont a 22-6 lead. Coleman Egan's going to get the ball back with about 3.5 minutes left. Let's go down on the sideline to Stacy Bauer for a report on Coleman Egan's Micheluzzi. Stace, what's going on?
Well, Tom, I just had a chance to briefly talk to him. I asked him what happened. He said he got hit hard on the last drive, knocked the wind out of him. It hurt his back. They were icing his back, and he said he was having a difficult time breathing. As of now, he's still behind me here. He's stretching out. Don't know if he'll be back in the ballgame in this half yet, though.
All right, thank you, Stace. Kelly Lahr takes the kick just outside his 15-yard line. A little bit of room left side. Finally brought down by Ryan Cooper, a freshman for Tripp-Delmont. Good return by Lahr, though, out to the 32-yard line. So Coleman Egan with 3:31 on the clock with a chance to get back in this one. And they kind of need to put a drive together here, Tom, and establish something anyway. Yard line for Coleman Egan. Justin Landis with Jason Crisp and Dan Bowen in the backfield. Luzzi's still not in there. Got down by that man again, Chad Guthmiller. Loss of 2 on the play. And about every time we've mentioned a tackler for Tripp-Delmont, number 42 has been in there, Guthmiller.
Yeah, he's just an outstanding defensive tackle for him in there. Does a great job.
Landis, the fake to Bowen. Reiner is out there, and he does get it away to David Volker. Coming across on the backside, it's not going to be a gain of much.
Unbelievable to get rid of that ball with Reiner hanging all over him. Landis does get it out there, shows his strength. Again, just a little play action. 53, the tight end for Coleman Egan, is going to have to hold Reiner just a little bit longer at the line of scrimmage before he releases him, because he is all over Landis.
I mean, it really is designed that way for David Volker out there to give Reiner the shot and then release, but
yeah, he's just got to hold him just a little bit longer.
Back to the original line of scrimmage. It's going to be 3rd and 10 for Coleman Egan at their 33. Landis straight back. The Reiners converge again. Ryan was there. Landis squeaks out of that one and finally gets it away. Jason Crisp has got the whole field over here. He's going to get close to the first down, but not quite there.
It's like to maybe be a yard or two short, but boy, I'll tell you what, Landis made that play happen. They had him all but tackled there about 3 times, and he gets rid of it.
Ryan Reiner had him twice. Guthmiller was there again, and here you go.
Just steps out for a straight drop back pass. Then they've got him wrapped up 2 or 3 times, both Reiners all over him. And then he gets the ball away to Jason Crisp.
J.J. Gall, 36, and Sabres combined to knock him down. They're about less than a yard from a first down.
That's really tough on Coleman Egan, too. With Lucy out of there, you know, that goes away from what they've done all year. You mentioned earlier they don't throw the ball hardly at all, and it's difficult for them.
And Jason Crisp, you saw on the sideline there, maybe a wrist or something. We'll check on him. Landis straight ahead, and he did get the first down.
That's both running backs for him now out of the game, Lucy and Crisp.
Looks at it, says, yep, you got enough, but they've only got 45 seconds left here before halftime. Still in their own end of the field at the Coleman Egan 43-yard line. Landis just straight ahead behind Grant Gross.
Now they might be happy here too, just to run this half out, try and see if they can get Lucy and Crisp healthy during the halftime and get back out here and maybe do what they do best, and that's pound the football.
There's the time remaining in the quarter. Lower right-hand corner, Landis looking for Kelly Lahr on the up and under. Gave him the pump fake, but Sabres is back there, the closest man to the football. Tried to get him on the out and up, but Trent Sabres pretty much saw it coming the whole way. 16 seconds left in the half.
Well, I'm sure Coach Steve Benson has told him, too, very explicitly. Now we've got 16 seconds left in the half. Let's make sure we don't get beat deep.
And you can see the arm on Justin Landis. I mean, the guy throws a great football. And maybe second half, they might have to do some of that, depending on what the situation is with their running backs. Rick Lucy. Jason Crisp, the report from the sideline, is a shoulder injury. Landis on 2nd and 10. Guthmiller again was the first man there. There's that quickness that you were talking about, Tom. He and Nick McCracken combined.
Well, I tell you what, Chad Guthmiller on a lot of football teams would be playing linebacker, but he's able to play in the defensive line because of all the other speed and good athletes they have. So you've got an outstanding athlete playing D tackle there.
That is the end of the first half. Tripp-Delmont leading Coleman Egan here in the 9B championship game. 22-6 is the score at halftime. We'll be back. We'll get a report on Rick Lucy and Jason Crisp, those Coleman Egan running backs, see what the situation is with them. We'll go down to Stacy Bauer for some features at halftime. And we'll do it after this from the Dakota Dome. You're watching the high school football championships on KELOLAND TV.
In all the world, there is no place Vern Holter would rather be, no thing he would rather do, no path he'd rather follow. Vern's dream is to win the Iditarod sled dog race. Norwest believes in his dream and the dreams of others. That's why Norwest is giving 80 $1,000 scholarships to deserving high school students.
If your dreams include college, pick up a scholarship application at your local Norwest Bank today.
10 years ago, Dakota Care was the first to get its ducks in a row by bringing managed care to South Dakota. Since then, we've become the state's most powerful healthcare network. And unlike other plans, we haven't restricted access, reduced choice, or limited quality of care. There's just no ducking the truth. There are networks, and then there's Dakota Care.
Live Doppler 2000. It's one of the country's best commercial Doppler radar systems. It's also the country's first full-power television radar network. With the help of Sioux Valley Hospitals and Health System and Northwestern Public Service, KELOLAND TV has 2 Doppler radars in its network, one in Huron and one south of Sioux Falls. These radars share information, helping us pinpoint weather in all of eastern KELOLAND. Real-time weather only on KELOLAND TV. Live Doppler 2000, keeping you ahead of the storm.
KELOLAND TV, home of the Girls State A Basketball Championship.
There's your score at halftime, and before we throw it down to Stacy Bauer, Tom, we're just talking, it hasn't been a real pretty football game, but Coleman Egan hasn't shown the true colors so far.
No, I don't think they have. I think they're a better football team than what they've shown here in the first half, and certainly they've surprised some people, too, with the way they've played already, but just a couple of real poor punts that they had and a couple of big penalties, and otherwise this ball game's a one-touchdown ball game.
And Tripp-Delmont, like a good team will, makes you pay for anything you give them.
That's right.
Tripp-Delmont looking to run the table on the season and go 13-0. They lead at 22-6 here at halftime. Let's throw it down to Stacy Bauer on the field for some halftime festivities. Stace?
Hi, Tom. Today's game definitely going to be good in the second half. And coming up after this one, of course, is the 9A championship between Freeman and Garrison. And last year in this 9B championship game, it was Freeman that was running all over things. They've moved up a class, but last year they went on to beat Hitchcock-Tulare 62-34. Even the Flyers are doing pretty well in 9A this year. They've won 25 games in a row coming into today's 9A championship game that's coming up next. And a lot of people expected them to be good with guys like Nathan Walter and Josh Hofer and Jeff Schultz back again this year. And earlier this season, KELOLAND's John Wilson had a chance to talk with the Flyers about their expectations.
Their opponents call them the Big Three, which include quarterback Nathan Walter, running back Josh Hofer, and the Flyers' workhorse, fullback Jeff Schultz. As juniors, these three helped Freeman to their second 9B crown in school's history. In '97, the Big Three are back and stronger and better than before. And so is Freeman.
And I think the reason they call them the Big Three is because of the way they play. You know, they've dedicated themselves to the weight room now for 5 years, and they're all very strong
and in tremendous shape. All three play both sides of the ball. In Freeman's 44-0 shutout against Menno, Jeff Schultz collected 13 solo tackles on defense and ran for 3 touchdowns in the first half alone.
They have a lot of runs where they break tackles, you know, and it's not uncommon to see them break 3 tackles and score off of something like that.
Senior running back Josh Hofer piled up 245 yards on the ground against Menno, but feels he's been slumping lately.
I've been struggling lately, but Nathan Walter and Jeff Schultz really stepped it up. They've been breaking lots of tackles, and the line's been doing a good job, too.
After 3 weeks of the '97 season, Freeman has outscored their opponents 98-16. It appears Freeman has improved on both sides of the ball from a year ago as the Flyers look for their second consecutive undefeated season and another 9-man title for the town of Freeman.
I try not to think about it because it gets too hard to believe. Just try and take it one game at a time, 1 week at a time. It's possible, but it's not in the bank. It's going to take a little luck, too, and a lot of hard work.
In Sioux Falls, John Wilson, KELOLAND Sports.
And the Flyers are definitely flying high. They'll be coming up in this 9A championship game. They will face Garrison, and in that game, you'll kind of see a touchdown-making machine for the Blue Dragons. Through 3 rounds of the playoffs this year, Joe Evenson has scored 30 touchdowns in 11 games. And the thing is, he might be a better linebacker than he is at running back. KELOLAND's John Wilson has the story.
He's become Garrison's all-time leading rusher. After back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons, senior running back Joe Evenson has now rushed for over 5,000 yards in his high school career.
I don't know
we got a pretty good offensive line this year, so it's kind of hard to do when you got a good offensive line.
He's probably our big weapon, and everyone else probably supports that weapon, and they take pride in it to be able to block for someone like him, and as a result, they work harder themselves.
Evenson has literally run through Garrettson's opponents while keeping their scoreboard operators busy as well. Along with his 2,000 yards rushing, Evenson has 30 touchdowns this year. According to Joe, conditioning is the key to a winning season.
That's what the summer is all about. We come in here, we lift weights 3-4 times a week. We do running, sprints, swimming. We do pretty much everything here at Garretson.
Obviously, the key to beating Garretson is to stop Joe Evenson. With the exception of Chester, no team has been able to do that in 1997. And that's what amazes Clarence Koister. He said even though Garrettson's opponents know where the ball's going, there's still no stopping Joe Evenson.
It was obvious in the last couple games. Chester did an outstanding job. They tried to control him on the line of scrimmage, and they did. He just got above over 100 yards, but it made the difference. He got the 3 touchdowns when we needed it.
Along with his 3 TDs against Chester, Evenson led the Blue Dragon defense with 21 tackles. Coach Koistra compares his defensive skills with a former Miller, South Dakota High School standout.
Joe resembles Brian Swartz to the fact that he can go from sideline to sideline, and feels as a linebacker, he has to make all the stops.
We love football together, so wherever I can play, it's good enough.
And Garretson fans will agree, no matter where he is, as long as Joe Evenson is on the field, a 9A championship may not be that far off. With tonight's Sports Spotlight, John Wilson, KELOLAND Sports.
And, of course, you can catch those Sports Spotlight features every Wednesday night during our 10 o'clock news. And that game is coming up, the 9A championship game between Garretson and Freeman. Both of those teams are 12-0. And then coming up tonight, we'll start everything off at 7 o'clock with a pregame show. That's coming up tonight. Then we'll feature West Central and Sisseton playing in that one. And there's a look at the 97 Golfers of the Year show. That's coming up Saturday, November 29th at 9:30 p.m. So make sure you catch that to kind of getting into winter here. We want to think about golf. We'll update you on what's going on with both these teams, Colman-Egan and Tripp-Delmont, coming up after this.
Individual home ownership on reservation lands possible at last. Determination finds a way, and for families across the region, loans are turning dreams into reality. Because a house becomes a home when the house becomes your own.
want a real 4x4, not a toy. You want features from an armored car, a monster truck, and a stretch limo. This is it. The Northland Edition Ford Explorer Sport. With the room and safety of an armored car, the power and traction of a monster truck, and the comfort features of a chauffeured ride. It's not an overpriced toy. With over $2,300 in package savings, the Northland Edition Explorer is just $279 a month. We call it America's best-selling sport utility. You'll call it a real 4x4. See your Northland Ford dealer today.
Watch the Sioux Falls Skyforce this season on KELOLAND TV.
Welcome back to the Dakota Dome. 22-6, Tripp-Delmont leading Colman-Egan here at halftime in the 9B championship game. Let's toss it down on the floor. Stacy Bauer finally ran down that slippery coach from Tripp-Delmont. Steve Benson, let's go down and see what's going on in his head. Stace?
I had to sprint to catch him, but I did catch him for just a minute. Coach Steve Benson, things are working well now. You've got a 22-6 lead. What are your plans for the second half?
Keep doing what we're doing. I mean, I told the guys, only guys that can beat them now are in red shirts. And if we don't let down and keep playing defense and don't give up the big play, we're going to be just fine. We're going to try and take this opening kickoff and put it somewhere, so I hope we can do it.
Any thoughts on Colman-Egan? They're suffering from a couple injuries right now. Has that made a difference for your team at all?
I hope so. I mean, it don't bother me any if they're hurting a little bit. That's fine. I mean, You know, I haven't noticed that we're keeping the quarterback in check. That's what we had to do coming into the game. I said if we can contain this Landis kid, we're going to be fine. And so far we're doing it, so we're just got to keep doing it.
All right, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Back up to you, Tom.
Yeah, he doesn't care if they're hurt or not. Rick Luzzi, we're going to try to get a report on his condition. He had kind of a back injury that having some trouble breathing. Jason Crisp, Coleman Egan's other running back, Tom, was out with kind of a shoulder injury, but it's made a difference in what they've been able to do offensively.
Definitely made a difference, and if they don't get those two kids back after halftime, it's going to be devastating for Coleman Egan because that's their bread and butter is running the football.
Luzzi did score the only touchdown thus far for Coleman Egan on a 12-yard run in the second quarter, tied it up 6-6, but since then, and some troubles on the offensive end of the field for Coleman Egan, a couple of punts. In fact, one run back for a touchdown by J.J. Gall. And Tripp-Delmont has tacked on a couple extra point conversions, and they lead it 22-6. But Coleman Egan, if they can get those guys back, I saw them play the semifinal game up at Warner. Saw them play in that first half, and Warner kind of took it to him in the first half, but Coleman Egan stayed with it. And they're not done yet, Tom.
No, they're not. They can come back and do this if they get the running game going.
A couple of minutes before the kickoff of the second half, we're going to do some business. We'll be back to Vermillion right after
this. Hospitals across the nation are regularly examined for accreditation. These facilities are carefully looked at, listened to, monitored, and observed by a team of experts. After all of these exams, one tertiary care facility in our area has earned an accreditation with commendation, placing Sioux Valley among the top 10% of hospitals surveyed nationally. Sioux Valley, there is a difference.
Your ticket to an interscholastic athletic event is a privilege to watch youngsters learn on the playing field. One of the lessons taught to players is one spectators can follow as well, that of good sportsmanship. Unruly behavior is unacceptable in the classroom, and the athletic field is a classroom.
Expedition, the only way to get there.
You may never see a public service innovation KELOLAND TV developed for the hearing impaired in South Dakota. Closed captioning makes soundless pictures come to life for deaf viewers. But when a weather crawl comes across the screen, captioning is lost. Lights' Switcher offers deaf viewers a choice. Watch the weather crawl or go back to regular programming, all by pushing a closed captioning button.
To me, it's wow. I've got choices.
KELOLAND TV, leadership you can count on.
Stacey Bauer live here at the Dakota Dome with Coleman Egan coach Merle Quinn. Talk to me a little bit about, you got a couple guys hurt right now, Jason Crisp and Rick Luzzi. What's the latest on those two?
Well, I tell you, I know Jason Crisp is done for the rest of the day. He has a broken collarbone. And, you know, we stayed injury-free almost the whole entire year, and now we have two of our key players just go down right away. Rick, I am not for sure if he'll be back in the second half or not.
What are you going to have to do to compensate for the loss of those two?
Well, you know, we tell players all year that everybody's important to this team. And some kids, you know, they don't get a lot of playing time during the course of the year, but in a game like this, all of a sudden a couple kids go down and somebody's got to step and take their place and you know, play at hopefully the level that the other players were playing at.
Okay, thanks, Merle. Good luck in the second half. And I did see them take Rick Luzzi into the training room just before they got back on the field here. So definitely Crisp is not coming back in the second half, and Luzzi is kind of indefinite as well.
All right, Stace, thank you very much. Ow. I mean, that really not only hurts Jason Crisp, but broken collarbone. It came on that play where he got outside and got taken down hard about midfield, but we'll talk a little bit about more of that in a second here, Tom. Take a look at the stats at halftime. Tripp-Delmont running the ball 95 yards on the ground, but
again, you look at the stats, and Coleman Egan with more first downs than Tripp-Delmont. Of course, you know, that also means Tripp-Delmont had some big plays, but they're not being dominated. Time of possession almost 2-1 in favor of Coleman Egan. So just not getting the ball in the end zone, and part of that is field position, and of course the big explosive plays by Tripp-Delmont.
J.J. Gall with the 43-yard punt return for a touchdown for Tripp-Delmont. Rick Luzzi has 60 yards rushing for Coleman Egan. The rest of the team, though, has -7. That's where that 53 yards rushing comes from. And as we heard from Stace and Merle Swen at halftime, Rick Luzzi may be back. He might not. It could be ribs, could be something with his back. We don't know for sure yet. But Jason Crisp, their other junior running back, out with a broken collarbone. Suffered that in the first half. So, well, usually got to find a way now.
Usually when they come back after halftime and they tell you that we don't know if he'll be back or not, that tells you right there that if he does come back, he's not going to be anywhere near 100%. He's probably hurting pretty bad if he's not out here. So it looks to me like Coleman Egan's going to be playing with 2 of their starters out, and not only does that hurt them offensively, but it hurts them defensively.
All right, Tripp-Delmont will have the ball here to start the second half. Derek Dudley set to kick it away for Coleman Egan. And it's taken short by Jason Brown, or check that, by Brian Mogg.
That's the freshman we were talking about earlier. He's going to be an outstanding football player. He has an older cousin that played for us in Avon. He was a 3-year starter at fullback and linebacker for us. His name was Chuck Raddick, and just an outstanding football family.
Mogg, 180-pound freshman, starting center for the Wildcats. He and Nick McCracken, Chad Guthmiller, Noah John. Noah, I'll get it right eventually. Noah John and Ryan Reiner on the offensive line. Trent Sabers at the QB. David Brewer, J.J. Gall in the backfield, and this is Gall. Plenty of room on that left side. Picks up about 13 yards on the first play of the second half.
Just that power play again, and like I told you earlier, that's a situation where they just know they can handle a man-to-man up front, and that gives Gall a chance to go one-on-one.
Lead blocked by Brewer. Takes care of Bowen.
Gall just gets through. He's got his center Mogg out there, lead block for him, and follows him right up the middle.
That's pretty good when your center's 10 yards downfield and you're still following him.
That's right.
First down inside Coleman Egan territory now at the 47-yard line. Sabers. Option keeps. He's still got Gall out there now. Pitches, and Bowen finally does run him out at about the 25-yard line.
And a late flag. Maybe a little bit of unnecessary roughness out of bounds. That was textbook option football there. If you noticed, Sabers turned the ball upfield. Watch here, rides the dive man through. Then Sabers fooled the cameraman. Sabers turns upfield. Then he gets some penetration from the defense and then pitches the ball outside to Gall. Outstanding.
And they do call a personal foul at the end of that play. And another big penalty is going to put Coleman Egan back further where they don't want to be. But against that option, you got a
personal foul, push out of bounds.
You got to take somebody out right or wrong. You got to go tackle somebody. You can't get caught in between on that.
That's right. If your defensive ends or linebackers are playing soft, you're going to get beat on it every time.
All the way down to the 12-yard line. Sabers again. He's got Gall as the pitch man, and this time Ockengay came in and made the tackle on Sabers.
So you'll start to notice it again that Sabers doesn't like to pitch the ball. I don't know if he's not real confident in his pitching or if he's so confident in his running, and he does an outstanding job. But he did have Gall wide open there on the pitch.
Gain of about 7 down to the 5-yard line. Tripp-Delmont looking to add to a 22-6 lead.
Coleman Egan's defensive ends have to come in and penetrate and get pressure on Trent Sabers.
Volker and Landis are those D-ends, and this time Sabers confident enough to keep that one. He didn't have to have the pitch. Gall was there either way. Landis brought him down, but he was in the end zone, and Tripp-Delmont is starting to roll now.
Yes, they are. Another good, outstanding option play. Comes through with the dive. You'll see there's no penetration by the defensive end on the quarterback, which gives him open field all the way. Either one of them could have scored that touchdown. He could have flipped it out to Gall, too.
Yeah, the defensive end just got buried, and it was all over after that.
That's right. You've got to get pressure on the quarterback and make him decide what he's going to do with the ball early in the play.
Second touchdown run of the game for Sabers. Second two-point conversion for Trent Sabers. The
Same play.
Quarterback. And the veer is starting to get a little vroom in it for Tripp-Delmont. They lead it 30-6 now. Score on their first possession of the second half.
Yep, they've run that play now about 5 or 6 times in this drive, and I'm sure they'll continue to run it unless Coleman Egan shows that they can come up and put some pressure on them.
Can you go to a 5-man line? Can you switch anything defensively to maybe combat the option better?
Actually, a 5-man line against the option won't do you any good because that gives you a nose guard. And where you need the help is on the outside. Your defensive end and outside linebackers have to penetrate into the backfield, or you're going to be playing on roller skates all day. You wonder how much of an emotional letdown that is for Coleman Egan when they know, those kids know out there, even though they're playing their hearts out, they know that 2 of their better ball players are in the training room, one with a broken collarbone, and we're not sure exactly what the injury is to the other one, but that's got to be devastating.
Stacy Bauer reports from the training room, actually, that Rick Luzzi, the Coleman Egan star running back, is in there. He's got the pads off. The doctor is looking at his ribs right now, so there's something going on in his midsection that very doubtful if he's going to be back in this football game. Landis from his own 16-yard line. They'll try to set up a little wedge, but look who's there on the tackle again. Chad Guthmiller.
He's been all over the field all day long.
You talk about guys that are just football players. I mean, there's a couple guys on each team that a nose for the ball, all those cliches, but they're all true about some of these guys, and he seems to be one of them for Tripp-Delmont.
He definitely is. He's been playing for him for a long time and does an outstanding job. Very important here now for Coleman Egan to get something going.
Out of the wishbone, Landis will set him down at the 23-yard line. They give it to Bowen left side. Zeke Richter is number 41 for Coleman Egan, and he will be in there now with Jason Crisp out of the ball game with that broken collarbone.
And Tom, it looks like Lahr has gone to quarterback, and they've moved Landis to an end.
Kelly Lahr, the junior, he's their leading receiver. Number 7 sets him down, and Landis now will come out as the I-back. Trying to find a way to get some kind of offensive going. And this is Landis straight ahead for a couple.
You just hate to see that. You get to a game at this level, a state championship game, and then they've got to change their entire offensive backfield around just to make up for their loss of their two young men.
Guthmiller again, Ryan Reiner, number 86, there on the tackle. Split backs this time with Hockengay split wide right. Kelly Lahr looking for Landis over there on the left side. He's got him down the sideline. Justin Landis with a little bit of running room, finally run down by Matt Heeb.
One thing I noticed on that play that Landis didn't have in the first half is he had all kinds of time to throw that ball and did a great job of staying in the pocket.
Get another look at it here. One of the Reiners on that far side, that's Jared Reiner, number 80, just kind of hung back that time. Good pass, though.
Great pass right on the money. You heard Steve Benson say when Stacy interviewed him that they were all they wanted to do is contain Landis. Well, now they got him in the backfield. Maybe they'll give Lahr a little bit more time to throw the ball.
All the way down to the 31-yard line of Tripp-Delmont. Kelly Lahr sets him down again. Landis in the backfield along with Bowen. This is Landis. Gain of about 4. Call it 3 to the 28-yard line.
Left tight end for Coleman Egan does a good job that time of getting the hook block on Reiner. That's what sprung him for a few yards.
Talk about how young these Coleman Egan CE Hawks are, Tom. 5 seniors on the team, but only a couple of them starters. Kelly Lahr is a junior. Justin Landis is a junior. Rick Luzzi is a junior.
And I noticed they're playing a couple of freshmen out there, too. Heinrichsey.
Chris Heinrichsey is a 9th grader, number 3. They put Hockengay at the wing back. Bowen and Landis in the backfield on 2nd and 7. Pitch to Landis. Landis. He wants to throw back. He's looking for Lahr. Gall is there. He's got it. Kelly Lahr caught it. Goes in for the touchdown.
Little razzle-dazzle. Well, that's the advantage you have of having your quarterback move to tailback. You've got him back there to throw the football.
Take another look from where we are. All we could see was J.J. Gall. We couldn't even see Kelly Lahr out there.
Just gets behind him, and J.J. turns around just a second too late. The ball comes right into Lahr's hand. Does a great job of concentrating on that ball and hanging on to it.
So Lahr to Landis to Lahr for the touchdown. 27 yards.
Again, it reminds me of what Coach Benson said about really concentrating on Landis. That time he looks like he's going to run the sweep and throws the ball.
That's a little spirit lifter. Landis for the two-point conversion. Stretches it in. Did get in. So Landis to Lahr for the touchdown. Justin Landis on the conversion. And it's 30-14, Tripp-Delmont.
That's got to be a huge emotional lift for him. All those changes in the backfield and moved it down the field. Now they'll have to come out here after this kickoff and prove that they can stop that option that Tripp had so much success with on the last drive.
9 minutes, 3 seconds to play. Third quarter. Tripp-Delmont with a 30-14 lead. And yeah, now you got to dig down defensively. Still down by 2 scores.
Now this series could definitely dictate the outcome of this football game. It's early in the third quarter, but the emotion, they can get a stop here, could really make a big impact.
We were just saying about 5 minutes ago that Tripp-Delmont was getting their offense rolling also, but a turnover maybe. Tripp-Delmont's fumbled the ball 3 times, got 2 of them back. But Derek Dudley will kick it away for Coleman Egan. Gall and Heeb. Deep to receive.
The last kickoff was a short squibber, and Mogg picked it up, the freshman. Of course, they got Guthmiller right there in the middle, too. The other freshman we haven't mentioned much is Schwaderer. He's on that kickoff team, too.
This is Heeb. A little bit of room up the middle. Kelly Lahr finally there. Along with Jeff Hay, a sophomore, to make the tackle for Coleman Egan. So at the 35-yard line, Tripp-Del will set it up. Crisp, Jason Crisp, who's out with a broken collarbone, was one of the leading tacklers for Coleman Egan at one of those linebacker positions. Actually, he and Lucy were the 2 linebackers.
And that may be why Tripp-Delmont was having so much success on their option, too.
They run it again with Sabers. Trent Sabers into the secondary, and Landis brings him down, but not until after a gain of about 13.
Sabers does a great job here. When I talked about playing softer on roller skates out there, you can see that the defender is standing outside there, and Sabers just hesitates a little bit, waits for the guy to commit himself. He went the wrong way, and Sabers turns it up the field for a big gain. It's about 8 out of the last 9 plays Tripp-Delmont has run that option.
And success just breeds success when you run this thing. The more you get, the more you want to get. And it was a first down after a 14-yard gain, and this is David Brewer straight ahead.
And that's the dive off of the option. Of course, now with all the success they're having with Gall and Heeb carrying the ball in the option, that's what made that play open up for Brewer right up the middle.
Brewer, 175-pound senior for Tripp-Delmont in that senior-dominated backfield. Heeb, Sabers, Gall, all seniors.
There he is right up the middle, and you can see the outside linebackers just flew out of there trying to stop Sabers on the option, and that's what opens it up.
Another first down after a gain of 12, and at the Coleman Egan 37-yard line. Sabers sets him down again. Schwaderer on the fake. The pitch to Gall, and this time
that's what they have to do more of. They had a man come up designated for Sabers there, and if you watched that play, you could see that their relationship was a little bit too tight. Gall was right next to Sabers on that play, and a little bit too easy to defend that way.
Kelly Lars, number 7 out there for Coleman Egan, that comes up and makes the tackle, and he's made a couple of good plays out there.
You only pitch that ball maybe a yard or two, and that usually coaches want that to be about a 4-yard spread there.
Gain of 1 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 9. Counter this time. Hebe. Matt Hebe into the secondary, and he is going to the house.
Tom, you're going to notice on this play that Chad Guthmiller gets a pancake block on number 24 for Coleman Egan, and that's what sprung that play loose. Hebe comes back on this trap. Watch Guthmiller, the left guard pull, and he gets a pancake on him.
Lahr had a shot, and then Jeff Hay couldn't run him down, and Matt Hebe scores from 37 yards out. We've got an injured Coleman Egan player on the turf. That's all they need.
Boy, this is just devastating for them.
Jason Crisp already out with a broken collarbone. Rick Luzzi is on the sidelines, and that is Kelly Lahr.
Boy, you just got to hope that that's nothing serious. Hope that it's a wind knocked out of him or something like that, because they'd be down to their 3rd-string quarterback if they left Landis in the tailback spot.
So after the run by Matt Hebe makes it 36-14, Tripp-Delmont. Sabres. Hebe is the pitch back, and Matt Hebe in for the 2-point conversion. They kind of like that pattern. You score the touchdown, you get a tack on the extra 2. 38 points on the board for Tripp-Delmont.
Another option play for them. They've just gone to that, gone to that, gone to that. And like you said earlier, Tom, they're going to keep doing it until Coleman Egan finds a way to stop it.
7:34 to play, 3rd quarter. Kelly Lahr, the preliminary indication from the sideline is a dislocated finger.
I'm sure Coach Swain's got to be thinking when it rains, it pours. That's
personalized license plate.
Ryan Cooper set to kick it off for the Wildcats.
Number 7, Ryan Kuiper, kicking off for Tripp-Delmont.
Bowen at his own 17. A little bit of room up the middle and a return of about 5 yards out to the 24-yard line for Coleman Egan. And Kelly Lahr is not going to be back in on this possession. Who was the quarterback, as you said, Tom, so
Heinrichs looks like he's going to be the quarterback, the freshman.
Number 3 is Chris Heinrichs. They list him at 125 pounds, 9th grader.
I noticed he did play a little defense today, so he's probably a gamer at 125.
3, 4, 5 in the backfield. Heinrichs, 4 is Bowen, 5 is Landis, and they give to Landis on a little counter. Gain of a couple. Gain of about 2 on the play for Landis. And Chris Heinrichs, when the day began, didn't, in his wildest dreams, think that he was going to be playing any quarterback this afternoon.
No, I don't think so. His eyes probably got as big as saucers when Coach said you're in.
The freshman sets him down on 2nd and 8. And again, Landis, but Guthmiller is there again. Chad Guthmiller in the backfield. Combo with Jared Reiner. It sounds like the injury to Rick Luzzi is a little more serious than first thought. Let's go down to the sideline to Stacy Bauer. Stace?
Tom, I spoke with the doctor who had a chance to look at Rick. He was going to come talk to us, but he's a little preoccupied right now. There's been a couple other injuries. But what he said is what might have happened is that Rick took some sort of a knee or a foot or something in the back, straining the ligaments near your rib cage and what causes you to breathe. And they say he has a possibility of a collapsed lung. They're going to take him into the hospital to have some x-rays to see how things are going. He's still having a very difficult time breathing, Tom.
All right. Thank you, Stacy Bauer, very much. Wow.
That does not sound good.
3rd and 11 now. The pitch to Bowen. Landis was back at quarterback, and Danny Bowen's going to get a couple of yards, but it's going to bring up another 4th and long for Coleman Egan.
You can see the effects of 3 starters being out of that offensive alignment there, Tom. Now you see him hesitate here. Landis hesitates, trying to get the ball to him. The timing is off. Everything is just a little bit off for him offensively with those 3 guys in there. Not that those guys aren't capable that came in. It's just that the timing is not there that they're used to.
Jeff Hayes, number 34, in the backfield for Coleman Egan with the lead block that time as Dudley will go back to kick it away for Coleman Egan. Matt Heeb from his own 47. Owen is there along with David Volker, who just hammered him out of bounds.
That was a great stick by Volker.
.45 to play, 3rd quarter. Tripp-Delmont will take over with a 38-14 lead and see if the end of this play here.
He brings it down. Watch the hit by Volker. Textbook tackle, wrapped him up good and put the lick on him.
Coleman Egan wants timeout. 5:45 to play, 3rd quarter. The Wildcats lead it big.
There are many faces, but one goal. Many faces, but one dynamic vision.
Northwestern.
This is Northwestern, one of South Dakota's fastest growing companies, now serving over 500,000 homes and businesses nationwide.
Northwestern.
Products that make your life more comfortable, your business more successful. Northwestern Public Service. That's what neighbors are for.
Taco John's 6-pack and a pound is ready to go. 6 delicious, authentic, fresh-made Taco John's tacos and a full pound of crispy golden potato olays.
There's a whole lot of Mexican going on at Taco John's. Taco John's.
Taco John's 6-pack and a pound. It's a fiesta in a bag.
Tom Neiman, Tom Oster from Avon back at the Dakota Dome where Tripp-Delmont looking to add to a 38-14 lead. They led it 22-6 at halftime. Matt Heeb in motion. Sabres. They run the option with Heeb. Bowen was there, and Landis comes over along with Heinrichsey on the tackle.
I hate to keep pounding on it, but that must be 15 or 16 option plays in a row for Tripp-Delmont, and Coleman Egan is just having a hard time stopping it. Again, you see there's no penetration by the defensive end. That gives Sabres a chance to take the ball 7 or 8, 9 yards downfield before he ever pitches it.
Gain of about 7. It'll be 2nd and 3 for Tripp-Delmont rather. Time Gall over the left side, and Landis is starting to make about every tackle for Coleman Egan. Coming down from the end position, gain of almost a 1st down yardage. It'll be 3rd and about a foot. Well, maybe they are going to measure here. But that offensive line of Tripp-Delmont, Mogg and John and McCracken starting to pound it out.
I did notice on this series you talked about going to a 5-man line earlier, and it looks like Coleman Egan maybe has decided to do that, and that might have something to do with their 2 starting linebackers being out, going with an odd front.
First down by the tip of the football. A 5-man line where maybe your ends are out a little further. Can that help you out?
You bet. Spread those ends out a little bit. They got a nose guard in over the center there, which should help shut down the dive on the option. And so those two defensive ends have to get penetration.
Heave, plenty of room outside. Matt Heave to the 10, to the 5, runs over Heinrichsey, but Chris knocks him out of bounds just inside the 5-yard line. Brooke Rentschler, a junior, is also in there defensively now for Coleman Egan.
Hey, there's Guthmiller again with the trap block. The play we saw earlier. Heave just turns it outside, uses his speed.
Noah John with a good block out there on that right side for Tripp-Delmont. Just inside the 5-yard line, 1st and goal, Tripp-Delmont. Sabres.
Fumble. Coleman Egan's ball.
There's a break. Heinrichsey, the little man, comes up with it for Coleman Egan at the 1-yard line. Call it the 2-foot line.
Again, they're running the option, and Sabres is going to keep it himself. Got that ball outside of his body there a little bit and loses it.
Bowen made the hit after Landis had stopped him, and Heinrichsey was on the spot.
I'm extremely impressed with Landis on defense. He is just all over the field. He seemed like you said, he's calling his name almost every play.
And he's making a lot of, remember they used to call Joey Browner of the Vikes the strongest hands in the NFL. You heard it over and over. Landis comes up and he makes all those tackles up around the shoulder pads, just ripping guys down. Heinrichsey back at QB, and he gives it. Danny Bowen. Does he have the wheels? 30, 40. Adam Schwaderer finally runs him down.
Adam Schwaderer, just a freshman, runs down Bowen from behind. Just shows you the depth of that Tripp-Delmont football team with Mogg out there, a freshman, and Schwaderer, a freshman. Had him stopped right up the middle, broke it loose. Great job of staying on his feet. Tries to detour a little bit to keep Schwaderer off his heels, but Schwaderer stays with him and brings him down.
Number 23, Adam Schwaderer with the tackle.
Blocked by Dudley. Ockengay with a block on Gall, who had a shot at him. And then it was off to the races, and Schwaderer closed about 4 yards to bring him down after a 52-yard gain for Danny Bowen. Heinrichsey sets him down. Just under 4 minutes to play, 3rd quarter. Jeff Hay, a sophomore, at the I-back that time.
Tackle again by Guthmiller and Reiner on that play.
Guthmiller, I don't know what it is. I mean, those guys, they don't seem to get blocked. You know, there's something about them that they're just slippery. They keep their head up, watch where the ball is.
You can see him barking at his defense out there, too. He's a spiritual leader, a team leader out there, well, as long as an athletic leader.
Justin Landis will get a couple, but the pursuit was pretty good with Stabers. Ryan Reiner was over there along with David Brewer. Gain of 2. It's going to be 3rd and long, 6.
Let's see if
CE Hawks.
Maybe Coach Steen will pull something out of the bag here again. We saw the halfback pass a little bit earlier.
Jason Brown, number 44, another freshman in there for Coleman Egan. He's at the fullback spot. Ahead of Landis. Landis got maybe 2.
Number 44, number 10, Brewer. And number 86, Ryder on the stop for Tripp-Delmont. A gain of 1 on the play. 4th and 5.
Landis just a workhorse on both sides of the ball.
And again, the tackle by Guthmiller. He came all the way down the line and brought him down. There's Merle Swen. And he's got to be thinking, what if I had a whole team right now? Jason Crisp, one of his starting running backs, starting linebackers, out with a broken collarbone. He did that in the second quarter. Rick Luzzi, his leading rusher, is out with a rib injury of some kind. So on 4th and 5, Landis, can he get outside? No. Guthmiller again with the shoestring tackle.
Well, you got to believe Coleman Egan's offense is so limited now. You've got the freshman Chris Heinrichsey in there running the offense. You know, and if he's like most nine-man teams, nine-man schools, he hasn't taken very many snaps, might not know the entire offense, and that really limits you. So 4 plays to Landis. He's a tired young man right now.
Kelly Lahr is back into the game for Coleman Egan. He didn't play on that offensive series, but he's back at the free safety now for the CE Hawks, and Heeb again on the counter.
Number 12,
picks up close to 6 yards.
Stop made by number 4, Bowen. And number 24, Nick Dahl. A gain of 5 yards on the play. Second and 5.
Tommy, that wing T offense is just, you can do so many things out of it, and they all kind of look the same.
They do, and they do an outstanding job of either giving you the option look coming out that way, or with Heeb coming back on that counter trap. And of course, they like to run that with Heeb on this side of the field or on their left and coming back to the right, because that means Guthmiller's trap blocking.
2nd and 5, a little stutter step by Paul. He's going to end up picking up 2 yards.
Like they had him stopped in the backfield, and just great balance that he has. He spins out of it, gets 2 yards.
J.J. Gall, 25 rushing touchdowns on the year. He runs for 225 yards per ball game. Averages 7 yards every time he touches the football.
Grant Gross had him there in the backfield, made contact about 2 yards deep, but just couldn't hang on to him.
Zeke Richter on the tackle for Coleman Egan. It's going to be 3rd and 1. There's the time remaining, 3rd quarter. Sabres pitch sweep Gall. Hockenday stayed at home to turn it back inside. Another big gainer for J.J. Gall. Picks up a 1st down, brought down by Landis.
That shows you the strength of Landis. He just got close to J.J. Gall there and just pushed him over.
He is throwing people around out there, isn't he? Only weighs 180 pounds.
Tell you what, he weighs every pound of that. He comes up and just gives J.J. Gall a push. He was already kind of leaning that way, and he's in on every play.
Clock ticking down into the 3rd quarter. Tripp-Delmont has been pretty impressive. 38-14. The Wildcats are 1 quarter away from a 9B state championship. We'll be back with the 4th from the Dome after this.
It was a war of impossible odds. At stake, a new nation and a vast new land. Relive our country's epic struggle for freedom as Norwest proudly presents Liberty, the American Revolution, a dramatic 6-part series coming this fall to PBS. Meet America's heroes, the famous and the little known. Experience the revolution through the eyes of those who lived it. Liberty, coming this fall to PBS. Brought to you by Norwest.
Ethics, integrity, and respect are values important in our daily lives. All of these values are learned by participation in interscholastic activity programs. Coaches have set a good example for players and fans. Respect should be extended to officials and judges, and fans should be fans and not fanatics.
When the sun goes down, the lights come up, and a familiar sound breaks the silence of late night. Tom Snyder.
Can I ask you something, just one guy to another?
He has a way of making people talk.
I have to confess.
He listens.
I don't know what's right and what's wrong. People are just very intrigued. That's a big statement. I just was touched. I was tickled. That's where I draw the line.
The Late Late Show with Tom Snyder.
What is our fascination with this man?
He comes out with the moon and illuminates the night.
Tripp-Delmont 38, Coleman Egan 14. Let's run it down quickly. David Brewer on a 1-yard run gave Tripp-Delmont a 6-0 lead in the 1st quarter. Coleman Egan came back, tied it up at 6 on a Rick Luzzi 12-yard touchdown run. Jumping ahead now to the 38-14 score we've got right now. Heeb on the 37-yard run is the latest scoring strike for Coleman Egan, and they lead it 38-14. They've spread it around pretty good. Brewer's got a touchdown run. Sabres with 2 touchdown runs. Gall on a punt return. And Matt Heeb on a 37-yard run for Coleman Egan, scoring. Sabres looking long. He's got Heave out there. Bowen can't catch up with the pass, but finally catches Heave inside the 5-yard line. And that's a terrible feeling for a defensive back.
It really is. He knew he was beat. Heave's got good speed. But look at the strength of Bowen to grab Heave from behind here and just hold him up. Good pass by Sabres, just a little bit underthrown. Good concentration. He brings it down, then just the brute strength here, just put the brakes on and held him up for Lahr to come over and make the tackle.
All the way down to the 4-yard line for Tripp-Delmont, where they'll set it up. Sabres out of the wishbone, they give to Danny Bowen, or David Brewer rather, right to the goal line. About a foot short, where it'll be 2nd and goal.
I'd be real surprised here now if Sabres just doesn't call his own number and take it in here.
Right, the Brian Mogg train is.
Right.
Man, they've done a job, though. McCracken and Mogg and Noah John, Guthmiller, Ryan Reiner on that offensive line. Sabres.
Well, he called his own number, but he didn't take it right up the middle.
He didn't want to hit the turf that time.
One more time on the option.
That's 3 touchdowns in the ball game for Trent Sabres. A couple more. He's going to catch Josh Hofer, who set that record last year with 5 of them. And they...
Again, the defensive end, if you watched 28 there, just froze long enough for Sabres to get outside. And if you don't penetrate hard on that option, it's just not going to happen.
Ockengay kind of in no man's land out there. Gall got a little bit of a block on him. And they'll go for 2. Leading 44-14. David Brewer straight ahead. And it's 46-14. Tripp-Delmont. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rushing touchdowns for Tripp-Delmont, right at their season average. 65 rushing touchdowns this year.
Now the size and the strength of Tripp-Delmont may be starting to take over a little bit. That, along with the fact that Coleman Egan without Lucy and without Crisp, that's got to be tough on them.
Mentally more than anything, really, for Coleman Egan. Those guys have led them all year long. You expect them to make plays, and then when they don't do it, you kind of get caught standing around sometimes.
That's right. It's devastating. You know, we've seen that happen on our own team, where you lose a kid during the course of a ball game, and if he's a real team leader for you, one of your big play kind of guys, your whole team lets down. They don't mean to. They don't consciously do it, but it happens.
I mean, the silver lining for Coleman Egan, or for those 2 players anyway, Lucy and Crisp, both juniors, will have another shot at it next year. But Tripp-Delmont is 1 point shy of their season average right now. This is just another ball game for them, 46 points.
Now they're used to racking up big numbers.
Still 11 minutes to go in the ball game. Kelly Lahr is back in. He's deep to receive the kick. He did have a dislocated pinky finger on his left hand, but they splinted it up and taken short by Tom Ockengay. Taken down by Brian Mogg. And Coleman Egan will set it up at their own 29-yard line.
We'll see now. Maybe Coleman Egan will try and open it up just a little bit, roll the ball a little bit more. Really nothing to lose at this point.
With Lahr back in there. I mean, Coleman Egan has racked up some points in the playoffs, averaging 50 points a game in the 4 wins.
It's just amazing to me how many juniors are on that team, how many underclassmen starters. They're going to be an outstanding football team again next year.
Kelly Lahr looking for Landis. Picked off out there by J.J. Gall. And they really were watching Justin Landis the whole time. Gall was there along with David Brewer defensively. They really had him double covered. It was a little underthrown. And now Landis a little slow getting up. I think he's more frustrated than anything.
I do, too. I think he's frustrated, and he's got to be a tired young man. He's just been in on every tackle defensively. They've given him the ball a lot on offense after he had to move the tailback with the injury of Lucy, so he's got to be tired.
Talk about those juniors for Coleman Egan, rather. Tom Grant Groves is a junior. Zeke Richter, Tom Ockengay on the offensive line. Derek Dudley, Landis. The whole backfield will be back next year. Lahr, Landis, Crisp, and Lucy. Trent Sabers, the senior, gives to the senior Gall for Tripp-Delmont, and he's got big yardage again, 15 yards to the Coleman Egan 35. And I'm not saying with those two players Coleman Egan would be winning this ball game right now. Tripp-Delmont has really been impressive offensively, but
it certainly would have made some difference, right. You know, and I agree with you. I think man for man with more seniors on their team, maybe a little bit bigger up front. There's Gall again. That's the off-tackle play. But I think Tripp-Delmont might have handled him anyway, but you never know, and that's something we won't know.
Ball the other way this time. He's got plenty of room out there. Kelly Lahr is going to catch him. Did not knock him out, and they finally do knock him out at the 1.5-yard line.
In that series, you could see Tripp-Delmont running a more power game inside, maybe trying not to get outside and really run it up on him, but Gall just happened to break that one loose. And I think
hard to back it off, though. You're running back. Right. You're running to daylight.
That's right. Just a straight up the middle play, and Gall just happens to break it outside, and then it's off to the races with Lahr.
Saw 42 again there on the kick-out block, Chad Guthmiller.
Rentschler actually ends up knocking him out of bounds. Another junior.
So from the 1-yard line, will Sabers do it again? I'm not sure who it was. I'm not sure.
I think it was Guthmiller. I think they put him in there just for that play because he's pretty excited in the end zone.
He's got a cramp, I think, as well. Oh. But yeah.
There he comes. That's the trap play that we've been seeing earlier that he blocks for all the time, and maybe coach rewarded him for all those great trap blocks by giving him the ball.
He comes from the end.
Yeah, he comes from that end spot and just comes in, and great job.
Help me out here, he says.
I thought he was celebrating a little in there, but I guess he had cramps in both feet.
Pain took precedence, I guess. You see that those calf cramps so much down here in these championship games, and it hurt him. I guess that it's Matt Heeb. Thought it was Guthmiller again, but Heeb takes it in on the conversion.
Well, and you get in here, same play that Guthmiller scored the touchdown on. Heeb comes in for the extra point on. But heat in here is so much different than what you're used to playing in all year long. It gets cooler and cooler and cooler outside. In the last couple of games, you might be playing in 20-degree temperature, and then you come in here, and it's about 70, 75 degrees down there on the floor.
9-man football, that play is a little goofy because he comes off the offensive end. Anybody is eligible, and explain that a little bit, how he can do that play. They can pull him right off the end and give him the football like that.
Well, the last man on the line of scrimmage in 9-man is always eligible. And so then he can come in, and anybody can actually carry the ball in 9-man football, guard on out, just like you can at any level, but passing-wise, too, that the last man on the line of scrimmage out there is eligible. So it isn't a whole lot different than the 11-man game, other than the fact that you don't have any offensive tackles in there.
You just don't see that play very often where they pull him out of that guard, or the ball he came from the end.
Right, in an 11-man game, there would be an offensive tackle lined up over him, and that guy would be in the backfield right along with him, but you don't see that. That man's not covered in 9-man, so that's why that play works.
There's J.J. Gall, one of those seniors for Tripp-Delmont. Gall and Sabers and Brewer and Heed, McMacken, Guthmiller, Ryan Reiner, taken by Heinrichsey. And the little man out across the 25-yard line to the 26.
It's interesting to see now if we start seeing some of the younger guys.
starting now to
you can
weigh
start
heavy
to see,
on that right side.
Right. Time of possession is still a little bit unusual. 22 minutes for Coleman Egan and 14 for Tripp-Delmont. But again, that's because Tripp-Delmont is scoring in bunches and in hurry, and Coleman Egan's offense a little bit more deliberate.
263 yards on the ground for Tripp-Delmont is right at their average. 267 yards a game is what they have picked up through the season.
See Landis, quarterback now.
Which means pass, and he's got Volker. David Volker had a step out there on Trent Sabers. Coming off that end position. Yeah, it's pretty obvious what they want to do now is just open it up, see if they can put some points on the board here. Landis, I mean, the guy's got a cannon for an arm. He's overthrown a lot of guys tonight. It's been detrimental almost.
Oh, we saw him in the warm-ups just standing back there just winging it 50 yards and not showing any doing it at ease, you know, just winging it out there.
Garrettson and Freeman are coming up in the 9A championship game after this one. Of course, Freeman, the defending 9B champs this class. We're watching here, but they moved up a class this year. Is taken down by Nick McCracken. Thing is, Tripp-Delmont's got 6 guys in the defensive backfield now, and there's nowhere to throw the ball.
And then those offensive linemen maybe get a little tired. If you're keeping it back in the block, again, those aren't the starting guys that are supposed to be in there. That with Lucy and Chris Bout, 2 younger kids in there trying to block, and with guys the size of Goose Miller and McCracken coming in there, it's starting to wear down.
We still got 9 minutes left here. Tripp-Delmont has 54 up there on the scoreboard, and another touchdown and conversion. They'll tie that 62 that Freeman put up in this game last year. Landis on third and forever, knocked up, and Dudley.
And he is an ineligible receiver, Tom, and that's why you see the flag go down.
Derek Dudley, the big 240-pound
actually
junior center.
They may pick that flag up because there's first touching on that play by the defense. Yes. They picked up the flag, and the reason is once that ball is tipped by a defensive lineman, it's open season for anybody. Then anybody's eligible.
Ryan Reiner, 86, 6'7", comes in there and gets that left paw on it, and then Dudley, who was on the right side of the line, came back and got it. He should have let it drop. They lost 5 yards on the play, and it'll be 4th and 23 now for Coleman Egan.
He's probably thinking, heck, we're down by 40, and that might be my only career reception. I'm grabbing it.
And now Derek will go back to kick it away again. Height on this one is heaved from the midfield line. Gets by Kelly Lahr, Hockengay, and
that punt.
73, Bobby Miles bring him down.
Much better punt that time by Coleman Egan. That ball had really good hang time, good distance. A lot better than the line drives that they were getting off earlier.
8:27 on the clock, and yeah, here you take another look at the kick by Derek Dudley.
It's just so difficult to contain Heave back here one-on-one. Lahr looked like he had the angle on him, like he was going to get him, and just got the little stutter step out of Heave, and away he goes.
8:27 to play in the 4th.
Here comes the young kids, and I believe that was the young Reiner that carried that ball.
James Reiner.
Number 5, Reiner on the stop for Coleman Egan. Gain of 5 yards.
And now it gets to be a long 8 minutes, not only for Coleman Egan to get this thing over with, but for Delmont, you know you're going to win a state title. You want to go out there and get the trophy.
That's right. Shane Hansen in at quarterback.
James Reiner again on the carry. Reiner a sophomore, Shane Hansen a junior.
again, like I mentioned earlier, you can see the depth of this Tripp-Delmont football team. They've got a lot of young kids in there, but they're still very effective. Reiner gets the ball in here on that power play we talked about so many times. Does a good job of staying on his feet.
Tony Lucas is in there on the offensive line along with Nathan Nuss. Reiner again the far side. The lead block by Jared Horn, another freshman.
Gross makes a tackle on that play. Grant Gross. And Matt Shelsky, a freshman in there at fullback.
The junior just going to waltz it in for a touchdown in the state championship game, and that's 60 now for Tripp-Delmont.
That's just the option play that they had so much success with all their starters in there. They run the same play with some of the backups. Hansen gets around the corner, doesn't even have to take an attempt at pitching that ball, just beat him to the outside.
Tom, they beat you in the last game of the regular season, is that right?
That's correct.
I mean, they handled you pretty good at that time. Did you kind of look ahead at the playoffs or what the playoffs were going to be at that time and think, well, Delmont's got a shot at this?
Yeah, we knew at the time, actually we knew about halfway through the season, based on what we've been seeing going on all across the state, that Tripp-Delmont had a real legitimate chance of being in the dome here. And we figured their toughest competition getting here might be Corsica, which is another team in our conference.
62 to 14. Tripp-Delmont is going to win the 9B state championship. Still 7 minutes to play in this one. We'll see what kind of records they can put up there. We'll be back to Vermillion after this.
The hometown pharmacist. His voice familiar. Her knowledge comforting. Generations of South Dakota pharmacists have chosen to serve our rural communities. Their desire to heal comes from within, but their knowledge and ability come from South Dakota State University. Today, over 600 graduates of the state's only pharmacy program practice here, keeping trusted care as close as your hometown. South Dakota State University. Knowledge for life.
In 1986, we were the first to get our ducks in a row by bringing managed care to South Dakota. Today, Dakota Care is the state's most powerful healthcare network, contracting rates with nearly all the state's physicians, hospitals, pharmacies, and other medical providers. Controlling costs, providing choice. There are networks, and then there's Dakota Care.
7:03 to play before Tripp-Delmont puts an end to this thing and wins the 9B state championship. Ryan Cooper, the kickoff taken by Ockengay at his own 30. A couple of jukes outside. Taken down by Tyson Gehring and company. Micah McGovney also in on the tackle for Tripp-Delmont. Tripp-Delmont has tied the championship game record for most points set by Freeman last year, 62. They will not get close to the Freeman record for net yards rushing last year, 553 by the Flyers. Mark Haugen, are we going to get close to that? Doubtful. Egan will set it down at their own 35-yard line. Justin Landis straight ahead on the QB keeper. Picks up about 4.
347 yards total right now for Tripp-Delmont rushing, so I don't think they'll come anywhere near that record of Freeman. But there's a team playing next year that may have a shot at it. That would be Freeman again.
Freeman and Garrettson in the 9A championship will follow this one tonight. In the 11A final, it is West Central and Sisseton. And then tomorrow afternoon, starting at 5 o'clock, the 11B championship with Gregory taking on Harrisburg. And then Brandon Kingfish in the big school finale tomorrow night at about 7:30. And Bowen is going to take it and go 60 yards for a Coleman touchdown.
Now, a lot of the young defenders in there for Tripp-Delmont, and Bowen does a good job staying on his feet, breaking loose, and then the last defender just didn't quite get the play the way he went. Comes through on just a simple power play. A couple of missed tackles, 2-3 missed tackles, and he's off to the races.
60 yards for Danny Bowen, the senior running back, one of the few seniors for Coleman Egan, 5 on the team, and they give it to him for the 2-point conversion. And it's 62-22. And I don't know what the record is for longest game, but we might be approaching that too. Still 6:06 to play.
Well, with all the scoring in here, the clock stopped a lot. Drags one out.
I don't know. You just wonder what would happen if Lucy and Crisp and they wouldn't have gone down early in the game. And
certainly it would have been a much different ball game, but I'm still not convinced that over the long haul, Coleman Egan could have stayed with them. It's just too many weapons for Tripp-Delmont, too big up front. And again, with a lot of juniors on that Coleman Egan team, don't forget about that. They're going to be an awful salty football team again next year, as will Tripp-Delmont.
Let's go down to Stacy Bauer one more time for one more update on Coleman Egan's Rick Lucy. Stacy.
Tom, I just spoke with the doctor. He called the hospital. It's good news. He doesn't have any broken ribs. His lung is not collapsed. He has some strained ligaments in his back. That's why he couldn't breathe. But it is good news from the hospital. He will be fine. He's in a lot of pain and definitely very disappointed. But good news on Rick Lucy.
All right. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, that is good. I mean, you don't certainly want anything to happen to anybody in this ball game, but Coleman Egan is just really taking it hard with Lucy going out with that injury. Jason Crisp broke his collarbone in the first half. Both of their starting running backs were out.
Yeah, you want a situation like this, you want those young men to be able to ride home on the bus with the rest of their teammates.
And Dudley rips one off to find the end zone.
Best special teams kick we've seen all day, either punting or kicking.
So Tripp-D will come out with 6:06 on the clock. They've already tied the record for points in a 9B championship game. You take a look at Justin Landis, who was going to sit it out the rest of the way. As Tripp-Delmont takes back over, Adam Heinrichsey is 62, Derek Dudley 50 on that defensive line for Coleman Egan. Sabers is back in there for Tripp-Delmont. Finally run out of bounds by Chris Heinrichsey.
I think we're going to see an offensive face mask, something you don't see very often, but it does happen once in a while. Sabers was out here on the sideline and was trying to do the old stiff arm block. It looks like he might have got his hand wrapped around a defender's face mask. Just the option again, one more time on the option for Tripp-Delmont. Now he comes out here, tries to hold off the defender with a stiff arm and may have got him in the face mask. Now he's locked on there pretty good.
And again, you saw Brooke Rentschler, the defensive end there for Coleman Egan, kind of get caught in between and either got to take out the quarterback or take out the pitch man, one or the other.
Yeah, if team hasn't seen that option very often in their season, what happens is
face mask on the offense.
They try to, the defender out there tries to play defense on both guys, both the quarterback and the pitchman, and you can't do that. You're right, Tom. You have to step up, take the quarterback, make him commit and pitch the ball, and then hopefully your safety will be there to make the tackle on the pitchman.
Sabers, Brewer, and Gall in the backfield, and Trent Sabers,
he's gone.
Chris Heinrich's got one shot, maybe, if he's got the angle. And Tripp-Delmont has just broken the record for most points in the 9B championship game.
And with 5:45 left, Tom, maybe they will flirt with that rushing number.
That'll put them over the 400-yard mark. The rushing record is 553 yards in a ball game.
Sabres on the option one more time and just cuts it back. A lot of younger players in there now, too, for Coleman Egan, and Heinrich with an angle, but he's a freshman out there trying to chase down senior Trent Sabres.
68 points.
442 total yards rushing now.
Senior.
That's the trap coming back the other way now with Reiner.
And nothing against Ryan, but he just didn't look right carrying the football like that.
He did look a little different.
The Reiners,
you don't see too many 6'8" running backs.
Ryan and his brother Jared were in Tripp 2 years ago. They played in Freeman last year. They were part of that Freeman basketball team that went to the State B championship game. Transferred back to Tripp this year.
Yeah, they'll be the only two kids probably in the state that can say that they were back-to-back state 9B champions with Freeman last year and this year with Tripp-Delmont.
And basketball, we got a basketball score right now for Tripp-Delmont. You look ahead to the basketball season for them with Sabres and Ryan Reiner and Jared Reiner and some of these other guys, and Dan Sabres, the coach, has got to be looking forward to this season. 70, that's the most points ever in any championship game here at the Dome. Number 70, Ryan, since we started in 1981.
It may be a long time, Tom, before that one's broken.
Coleman Egan, of course, scored 72 on Hitchcock-Tulare in one of the playoff games, but and I don't think even those that expected Tripp-Delmont to run away with it thought that they would run away with it like this.
No. And I don't think they would put up 70 points in this football game if everybody's healthy. Again, I think Tripp-Delmont would have eventually prevailed, but I don't think it would have been like this. And there's a lot of young guys in there now, too. And that's good to see. Everybody should play in a game like this, so everybody says that they actually played in the state championship game.
Touchdowns in the game for Tripp-Delmont quarterback Trent Sabres, who is not in that picture because the seniors and the starters are over getting a drink of Gatorade. David Brewer with a touchdown run. Trent Sabres with a touchdown run, made it 14-6. J.J. Gall with a punt return for a touchdown that really started things rolling for Coleman or for Tripp-Delmont rather. 22-6 at halftime. And then Sabres 3 more touchdowns here in the second half. Matt Heeb with a touchdown run. Shane Hansen, the junior quarterback, back up, came in, ran one in. Owen with another one. Guth Miller with a touchdown. And then Sabres, again, 70 points for Tripp-Delmont.
And don't forget Reiner on that extra point carry. Back now at quarterback for Coleman Egan.
I was just counting up touchdowns for Tripp-Delmont. 9 of them on the ground. 4 by Sabres. Gain of 1. Chris Heinrich, the freshman quarterback, sets him down on this series. Nick Dahl is number 24. He's a senior. And as you said, Tom, they'll only graduate 5 seniors and bring all those other very talented players back. 34 is Jeff Hay, a sophomore. Gain of about 3.
Looks like Landis might be getting his first rest of the ball game, both offensively and defensively.
He was impressive defensively. I mean, he kind of just took it upon himself to really try and make every tackle.
And I think that's where his specialty lies. Even though he did a great job playing quarterback in this football game, I think he's an outstanding defensive football player. Great nose for the ball. Seemed like he was in on every play. Kind of reminds you of Guthmiller on the other side.
Jeff Hay again straight ahead, and he gets